close the doors of your mind, close the gates of your palace, your body, your temple, your ahal, your mishkan, your mikdash, inside of your sentient self, inside of the center of your body, and down to your shore that connects to Yahuwah Elohim as a child get ready to be born. And bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerves and your 12 melanin centers, within your 12 manners of fruit that's in your body, down to your spine, all the way down to the roots of your body, all the way down to your loins, and cover up all your sexual immorality and your fornication and your adultery that's in your heart. And bring your body and your center and your root and the roots of your body into subjection, into the highest order, into the one who sits in the highest Shamaim above all Elohims and all gods. The one who sits above all your sexual desires and has seen every single thing that you've done in your life from birth to present. The one who gives life and understanding to your inward man, allow you to be renewed in the image and likeness of his creator. Yahuwah Elohim. This Yom, on this Shabbat, we acknowledge him, the one in our highest mind, the one who made all things and gives us understanding in our inner being, the one who gives us understanding to know when Satan, all of his schemes and plots are round about, the one who gives understanding when we know when Abunalek is on the prowl and utterly in strife and anger and resentment and bitterness is all around, the one who allows us to walk on the wings of the wind and see and feed us with our akla and our food, that we may walk on the heights, on the clouds, and we may mount up like wings like eagles, and that tsar, and we may, as we wait for our father and mother in the highest Shamaim, to carry us and to bring us back to the place where we belong. Yahuwah Elohim. So as we move forward in kindness, we move forward in ahab, joy, peace, patience, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We move forward in that self-control, we move forward in that patience, we move forward in that love, ahab, that binds everything in perfect harmony. But we need, need that faithfulness and gentleness and self-control in order for one to be able to maintain it, to be able to control it, and not to walk in conceitedness in one's mind. So as we move forward in the fear of Yahuwah, but we will in no wise clear anyone, not even ourselves, of the guilt if you were found guilty within oneself. Right, so this is the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 59, Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 14. Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 14. And it says, justice is turned back. He said, justice, now there is no justice. How you say mishpat, no proper judgment. And righteousness stands far away. Everybody's far away from it. Like Yahuwah trying to save you from afar. He said righteousness is way far away. Amazing how righteousness is so far away, you have to come to it. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to, love covers a multitude of sins, right? And we know that whom Yahuwah love, he corrects. So correction covers a multitude of sins, but the only way you're going to get there, you got to find judgment. You got to find judgment and you got to find righteousness. Because it's real far away. Don't actually think that Yahuwah going to put it right next to your house. And it says, for truth has stumbled in the public squares. He said, truth has stumbled. What do you mean truth has stumbled? He said, truth has stumbled in the public square, and uprightness cannot enter. He said, truth has stumbled in the public square. Uprightness can't even come in. You can't even go in. Why? And it says, truth is lacking. That's the only reason. The Amath, truth is lacking. And he who departs from evil makes himself a prey. That's what's going to happen to you. Because when truth is far away, truth is lacking, just like we are right now. The truth is lacking right now. People don't believe it. Right? This is the book of Hosea. Truth is lacking. Right? That's the only reason a lot of things are taking place in the earth right now. This book of Hosea, chapter 4. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Truth is lacking. Truth is lacking. There is, he say, lack of binah. Because you have rejected knowledge, I rejected you. So Yahuwah has rejected everybody. Right? Because a lot of people haven't graduated yet. Because truth is lacking. Amath is lacking. to get to higher ascension, a higher ascended being, to get your thought process and your inner man and your inner being to a level that needs to, one has to graduate. One has to actually apply themselves. This is not you have to apply. And it says, because you have rejected Binah, Da'ah, and Hakma, I reject you from being Kahan to me, priest. Because you got to know all the offerings. He said, I don't know all the offerings. I don't know the morning and evening sacrifice. I don't know the Bakar and Arab, how you say, sacrifices. I don't know how they even offer them. I don't know how to offer a meal lamb, a 1 year old. I don't know how to do all these things in my inner being. You don't even know the offerings. You don't know the altar. You got an altar on the four corners with the ring, the signet, with the signets on the four corners. And how you gotta keep the lamp continually burning and manure. Like, all these are a part of what? Lack of knowledge. And when you have lack of knowledge, you end up making terrible, awful decisions in life. Awful. It says, because you have rejected knowledge, I rejected you from being Kahan to me. Because the Kahan had a certain practice. We read in 1 Chronicles chapter 23 how they had to do all the offerings and bring the bread and showbread and the lakam every single morning and evening. And these is in Jerusalem itself. And you're talking about being in New Jerusalem, where there's going to be Kahan everywhere. Priests everywhere. And you ain't going to know what to do. You're going to be in Kadashah, Jerusalem, going to come down from the highest, come down from the Shamayim to the earth, and you're going to be there. And you ain't no Kahan. You don't even know what you're supposed to do. The purification, just Ephah, just Mazon, just Mazon, just Ephah, just bath. You don't even know the baths you got to take. It says, I reject you from being Kahan to me, since you have forgotten the law. Remember, we talking about, I ain't under the law. And you talking about you're going to be in Kadashah, Jerusalem, in Revelation chapter 22. Revelation, and it says, since you have forgotten the law, because you say you ain't under the law, of your Elohim, you forgot it. I also will forget your children, and then you wonder why nothing gets passed to your children. He said, a good man leaving an inheritance for his children. But how are we going to get our inheritance back? We talked about it last week. Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble, right? This is the book of Amos. The book of Amos, chapter 8 and verse 10. Amos, chapter 8 and verse 10. Amos, chapter 8 and verse 10. It says, I will turn your feast into mourning, and your songs into lamentation. Why? Because your bread, your ashes is going to be your tears, and your tears is going to be your drink. Your ashes is going to be your food, and your tears is going to be your drink. Why? I will bring sackcloth on every waist, and baldness on every head. Why? Because you're going to be cutting all your hair off in shame. I will make it like mourning for an only son. He said, I'm going to make it like a mourning of an only son. Why? And the end of it like a bitter day. Now you see why they gave Yahushua, and he gave him the sour wine. He said it was like a bitter day for him. It was the end of it. And knowing that all was accomplished, they put the reed to his mouth, and he drank the sour wine, he gave it the ruah. It was like the end of a bitter day. And you need to understand that. In John chapter 18, you need to understand that. Even the accounts of the Shalakim after Kal Chibur, they wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, Marco, Luke, Uriah, Yahukanan. They wrote these things as you need to understand it. Why do you think they put baldness on his head, and they ripped out his hair, and they plucked his beard out, and they punched him in the face, and they spit in him? You need to understand it. Because that should have been you. That should have been you. Why do you think the families mourned apart when Yahushua on totality? He's like, they were mourning for his only son. His mother, he said, behold your mother. He said, behold, mother, behold your son. And he told his disciples, behold your mother. You need to understand it. Because he only did that to do one thing. Verse 11, behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah Elohim, because he's preparing you for a famine. That's what he was preparing you for. a famine. This type of food that he's giving you, you will never hunger or thirst again. Which he's preparing you for a famine in the land. When Yahushua get on you and inside of you, it's like a residual income of flour and barley and wheat and olive oil inside your heart and your mind, and you will never hunger or thirst again. You won't be worried about it. You will have continual behavior, understanding him in the Torah and how you need to walk, and you will not have a famine inside of you. Because there's a famine inside of all these people out here. That's why you have so much jealousy, envy, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, arrogance, YouTube video slander, YouTube video PowerPoint slander, gossip. You got all these things. Adultery, fornication, lying, fits of anger, hatred, ruach of hatred, working with Satan. All these are a part of what? Because there's a famine in people's mind. They don't believe on the Son. That's why he died, to prepare you for a famine. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, that I will send a famine in the land, not of bread, lakam, nor thirst for water. That's what we're in right now. That's why you have so many behaviors. That's why a wife can't love her husband anymore. That's why women, Nisheen, don't even believe in multiple wives anymore. They can't even cohabitate together as one like it was in Yasharab in times past. People, when somebody do something wrong, everybody get out of place. There's a famine in the land. People say ain't no famine in the land. Yes, it is. That's why a husband casts away his wife and ain't for adultery. And then after that, he has no compassion, even after you repent, knowing that you commit adultery on your hood, and you don't got no compassion. Say, hey, you know what? I forgive you. Because there's a famine in the land. Not a famine of bread, no thirst for water, but hearing the words of Yahuwah. That's what's going on. That's why his truth is lacking. It's everywhere. People may think they're saying it the bar of the truth, but it's actually not. It ain't the truth. If it was the truth, why would we be saying this right now in 2025 AD? And it says, but hearing the words of Yahuwah, they shall wander from sea to sea and from north to the east, because righteousness is far away. You just read it in Yeshayahu. It's real far. He said righteousness is far and justice is real far away. It's real far away. They shall wander from sea to sea and from north to the east, and shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahuwah, and shall not find it. Eventually, you think you're gonna find it? You know what they're doing? You know what they're doing to the real Debar, the real word of Yahuwah? You know what they're doing? They're blocking it. They're making sure you don't see it. They put it way at the bottom, and then they exalt the demons and the Shadim and Satans, and they take it. And then they keep deceiving you over and over and over again. That's what they're doing today. And you know what you do? You worship. You give him praise in the kabod. And you love him with all your heart and mind. Not even knowing where did they get it from. They got it from the poor people. The lower class people. The poor people. And it says, and guess what it says? But in that day, the lovely virgins and the young men shall faint for thirst. Why the lovely men and everybody faint for thirst? Why? Because they getting ready to lose their virginity. They getting ready to go fornicate now, because being that it's a famine in the land, ain't of hearing at the bar, and nobody want to speak anything anymore. You only want to put the work on a few people. Right? The woman don't even want to speak the truth. The man don't even want to speak the truth anymore. Nobody want to do it. Because they don't want to anymore. You know why? Because Satan got him afraid. Satan got him bound. He said, you know how they say, the cat got your tongue? They used to say that. The cat got your tongue. You mean the lion got your tongue? He done took your tongue. And here's what it says. In that day, the lovely virgins and the young men shall faint for thirst. You know what's going to happen when you faint for thirst? Complaining, mumbling, grumbling, complaining. And you're going to seek after other things that are not the debar and the thirst that you need to be thirsting for, like a deer panteth by the water, and its soul seeking for Yahuwah. They're going to be seeking for other things, and you see that today. It says, those who swear by the guilt of Samaria and say, as Elohim lives, O Dan, and the way of Beersheba lives, they shall fall and never rise again, right? Because this is all a part of what Yahushua came to do. Because this is what he came to do. And people thinking that he ain't coming, he came to prepare us. He came to prepare people for this. And this whole thing that's going around right now, and people thinking it's not something you should be thinking about. Right, so this is the book of, right, this is the book of Nehemiah, Nakumiyah. Nehemiah, Nakumiyah, chapter 9 and verse 14. Nehemiah, Nakumiyah, chapter 9 and verse 14. And you made known to them your Kudash Shabbat, and commanded them commandments and statutes and a law by Mashah, your servant. So he gave them a whole bunch of things, the laws and codes, how to live and how to govern people of a huge family, of a bunch of people who got sons and daughters, and they all amongst each other. So he had to be real strict on how they had people around. Why? Because if they didn't, you have all types of things going on. The young men gonna faint, the young virgins gonna faint. Everybody, if you ain't got the right codes and the things around the strictness, you're gonna have a lot of sin going on in your back, in your life, in your household, in your family, in your community. And guess what it says? You gave them bread from Shemaim, verse 15, and their hunger, it says, for their hunger, and brought water for them out of the rock for their thirst. And you told them to go possess the land that you had sworn to give them. Why? Because he's trying to tell you, everybody's fainting for thirst and hunger. And he's telling you what to go do. But they and our fathers acted presumptuously and stiff-necked because they wouldn't go. Because he's giving you bread and water in the midst of a famine, so you can go and take the things that you're supposed to take back. Because Satan done took everything from you. But they and our fathers acted presumptuously, stiffened their neck, and did not obey your commandments to go and possess the land. You know what it says? They refused to obey and were not mindful of the wonders that you performed among them. They said they don't even care. He said they become careless. But they stiffened their neck and appointed a leader to return to their slavery in Mizraim. They want to go back to Mizraim. They want to go back to slavery. And then they try to recruit you to go back to slavery. He's like, nah, I'm not going back to it. I'm not going back to slavery. Be our leader and take us back to Mizraim, into slavery. No, I'm not going back to sin. But you are a Elohim ready to forgive. And that's how you got to be in your life. Even though people doing all this, don't want to do anything, they want to go back to Mizraim. But you are a Elohim ready to forgive, gracious and merciful, slow to anger. And this is how you got to be in your life. When people around you in your vicinity want to go back and do things that I used to, he said, but you are a Elohim ready to forgive, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast ahab, that's the strength of your body, and did not forsake them. And he said, and did not forsake them. This is how you're going to know if people really actually want to, this is how you know that people in the created image and likeness, both male and female. That's how you're going to know. It has nothing to do with when everything going good. It's when disobedience, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, want to go back to Mizraim, want to go back to the things you used to do, type mindset start coming up. That's when you're going to find out. It ain't when everything's going good and joyful, and that's when things go wrong. And it says right here, even when they had made themselves a golden calf and said, this is your Elohim who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, and had committed great blasphemies, you and your great mercies did not forsake them in the wilderness. And that's how you got to be in your life. He's made golden calves everywhere. Golden calves in people's heart and mind, golden calves all over the place. Yashua, golden calves on the street corner, golden calves everywhere. Man, they're golden calves all over the place. They're golden calves in people's mind right now. They already think about what they're going to do 1 month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now when they get some gain. He said they got golden calves everywhere. You in your great mercies did not forsake them in the wilderness. The pillar of cloud led them in the way, and did not depart from them by day. And that's what's going to happen to you. He said, it didn't even depart from them, not even by day. Nor pillar of fire by night, to light for them the way by which they should go. And that's what happened. It didn't even leave. Yahuwah never said, and people say, why he said this? He said that pillar of cloud, even though they were disobedient, they were doing all types of demonic things. And guess what? He said, people have no idea about Yahushua. People have no idea. Right, so this is the book of Matthew. Actually, let's go to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. I read chapter 13, verse 4. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. It says, let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled. What happened when they came to the marriage bed when they worshiped idols? In the book of Sirach, chapter 23. They no longer kept the marriage bed undefiled. But now he's literally, remember, they built a golden calf. Why do you think Yahuwah had that law coming from Mashah saying, is it lawful to put away a man's wife at every cost? Because they no longer kept their marriage bed undefiled anymore. They were sleeping around. They built that idol, the golden calf. They were transgressing the whole time. That's what people are doing today. They don't care. That's why he had that law, because they no longer kept the marriage bed undefiled. But now he's saying the new and better way you're supposed to. But it says, let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled. For Elohim will judge the sexual immoral. Amazingly, he says this. Why would he do all that? Because that is the beginning of sin. That's the beginning of all wickedness and the end of it. Because what other Elohim is there but Yahuwah? And he says, and adulteress, he's gonna judge you. Now you see why he go to worshiping other gods, but then he just say, okay, undefiled beds and marriage, sexual immoral, and adultery. Because truth is lacking. Justice is far away. Righteousness is far away. When Yahuwah said, I'm going to save you from far though. And you get what it says. Keep your life free from the love of money. First he talking about how you do your relationships, your marriages, and keeping the bed undefiled. Then he says, keep yourself from the love of money. He says swindling and extortion, bribes. That's what Yasharal did. Swindling, extortion, bribes, teaching for money, unjust gain. That's the type of money he's talking about. Because when you start to love money, you start to do that. You start to do that. You start to swindle, extortion, unjust gain. You start lying to get money. And then you start making the ephah small and the shekel great. And then you start keeping the Shabbat according to the flesh. And you be like, when will the Kodesh Yard be over? When will the Shabbat be over that we may get gain? And then you'll start to turn into these people again. And he's trying to prevent that again. Because you can keep it according to the flesh. Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. Right? Be content. For he has said, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Just like he did in the wilderness. He never left them. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I will be with you always, even unto the end of the world. He said, he still was a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. He still, when they worshiped idols, he still was ready to forgive. Full of compassion and mercy and gentleness and steadfast love. He did all of that for you. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we can confidently say, he said confidently, because we already know this. Yahuwah ain't never, we did all that to Yahuwah, to our husband. That's what he was. He said, we can confidently say, Yahuwah is my helper. I will not fear what man do to me. Because that's what man do. He said, I don't fear. I don't fear what man can do to me. Because Yahuwah is my helper. Because when he said man, he's talking about Adam. Because who was supposed to be Adam's helper? His Azar. Yahuwah made one for him. But for some reason, the Azar, when he came out of Mizraim, the Azar wouldn't help him anymore. He's like, where my Azar at? Where Yasharal and Yehuda at? Where Yasharal? I married Yasharal. Right, so this is the book of, and people say why he did that. He said, why he do that? Right, so this is the book of John, the book of Yahuchanan, chapter 5 and verse, actually Yahuchanan chapter 8 and verse 1. Yahuchanan chapter 8 and verse 1. John chapter 8 verse 1. They went each to his own house, but Yahushua went to the Mount of Olives, right? Early in the morning, he came again to the temple, right? Early in the morning. All the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Early in the morning. But caught. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who was caught in adultery. He said they brought her early in the morning, man. But remember, he said judgment is far away, right? Justice is far away. In the book of Yeshua, right? But he said right here, the scribes and the Pharisees brought the woman who was caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman has been caught in the very act of adultery. He's doing it early in the morning. He said, why are you doing all that? He said, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. Now in the law of Moses, Messiah commanded us to stone such a woman. So what do you say? Like they ready to judge him. This they said to test him. Why? Because you're proclaiming to be this person coming down from the Mount of Olives, coming in the temple, thinking you somebody, think you can do all these judgment calls. And he says, and that they might have some charge to bring against him. So they needed to find something to bring against him that he may be condemned. They may say, oh, you a false judger. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the Torah. Yahushua bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground, right? That's how you know the temple ain't had all that extra stuff that you be thinking that the stuff that people need today. You know what he says? And they continued to ask him, He stood up and said to them, so they kept asking him too, is it lawful? Is it lawful? Let him who without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. Right? He said, that's what you call a judgment. Because remember, they were looking for something to accuse him of. And he said, why are you trying to accuse me? Why are you trying to set me up? I can see a haughty look from afar away. I already know what you're getting ready to do. He said, he without sin among you be the first to cast a stone at her. Right? Because you start looking at how people operate, and you say, why? Right? This is the book of Exodus. This is the book of, he said, why would he do that? Because all that's a part of it. Right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 18, and verse 1. Shemuth, Exodus chapter 18 and verse 1. It says, "And Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard of all that Elohim had done for Moshe and for Yasharal, his people." Why? Because he was a Midian. And you know, that came from the lineage of Abraham. And it says, how Yahuwah had brought Yasharal out of Mizraim. Now, Yasharal, Moshe's father-in-law, had taken Zipporah, Moshe's wife, after he had sent her home, along with her 2 sons. The name of the one was Gershom, and for he said, "I have been a sojourner in a foreign land." And the name of the other was Eliezer. And he said, "The Elohim of my fathers was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh." Right, skipping over. Verse 13. "The next day Moshe sat to judge the people." And then he went in the temple and started to teach the people. Early in the morning, he was on the Mount of Olives. And guess what he did? And the people stood around Moshe from morning till evening. And then what they did to Yahushua in the temple? He went in there early in the morning, and everybody started sending things to him, right? And when Moshe's father-in-law saw that all he was doing for the people, he said, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone?" What was that? Yahushua in the temple. He said, "You need to understand this. And all the people stand around you from morning till evening." He said, "They all standing around you. Why are all the people coming to you?" He said, and Moshe said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me and inquire of Elohim that they have a dispute, they may come to me, and I decide between one person and another. And I make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws." That's what he does. Because people be doing stuff wrong every single day. Every single day. People say, no, yeah, they do something wrong every day. The same way you go to a courthouse or you go to these places here today, you go early in the morning by 8 o'clock. What time your case start, man? About 7:30, I got to get up. Then they have a court that they judge start at 8:30 and you get your verdict at that time. That's their job. And they do it from morning to evening. And you get convicted on your crimes. I was speeding. I thought I was speeding, but I really didn't know. Well, I'm going to reduce it to $25 instead of $180. Woo, I only had $50 left in my account. That's all. That's how it works. And he says that I may know that the statute of God. And Moshe, our father-in-law, said to him, "What you are doing is not good. You and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out, and the thing is too heavy for you." Now you see why Yahushua said in the book of Yeshua, he said, "Cast your care." He said, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 53. Isaiah chapter 53 in verse 1. Yeshayahu 53 and 1. "Who has believed what he has heard from us? And to whom has the arm of Yahuwah been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, and like a root out of the dry ground. He had no form of majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and one from whom men hide their faces from." You know where you hide your face from? The judge. He said, that's why you hide. People say, yeah, you hide your face from the person that you're ready to convict you. He was despised and we esteemed him not. Nobody loves that person. Everybody hates that person. They hate that person. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Man, this thing way too heavy for you. That's what Yeshua said. Not even knowing. When you look at Yahushua, that wasn't heavy for him. Yahushua, man, Yahushua can lift the whole cosmos. He can put it on his back. He can lift it from Sheol all the way to the seven Shemayim. He can put it on his back and get in the squat rack. Walk with it. Matter of fact, he can take it, he can carry it all through the cosmos and carry it back now. Way stronger than what you think. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten of Elohim, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, for all the things that you do, and was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and by his wounds we are healed. We are all sheep gone astray, and we have turned every one to his own way. That's why you think he rose early in the morning, doing judgment. But he told those people in the temple when he came in, he said, we caught this woman in a very active adultery. What do you say? He without sin among you cast the first stone. Y'all ready to judge people, huh? You know the Kadashim gonna judge the world, but y'all sure y'all ready to judge? Because you can't even be able to judge nobody with sin in your life. And he said, why he say that? Because that's the reason why he told you in Yochanan chapter 8. Yochanan chapter 8. Yochanan chapter 8 and verse 44. He says, you are of your father Satan, and your will is to do your father's desires. He's judging right now. He's judging him right now. Nobody, he said, man, this thing way too hard for you, Michelle. He said, you are your father Satan, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth. He's like, you're a murderer. You thou shalt not murder. You all broke the 10 Commandments. Hey man, they turned that he was a face that people despise, that face. From the beginning, it says he was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand the truth because there is no truth in him. Truth is lacking. We just read that. Truth is lacking. And he that departed from iniquity make himself a prey. Why do you think they were coming after Yahusha like this? Because the truth is lacking inside of people. That's why the only reason he's saying it. There is no truth in you. And being that you all have not no truth in you, I reject you from being Kahan. You can't judge nobody. And I'm going to reject your children. Because your children are going to be doing the same thing you do. And you know what he says right here? He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no Amath in him. Amath equals to 9 too. There's no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks of his own character, for he is a liar and a father of lies. He without sin among you cast the first stone. Because they were trying to test him, to find a way to accuse him. Isn't that what Satan do? Because that's what Satan do. That's how fast you got to be with him. You can't play around with the scribes and Pharisees, both male and female. You can't do it. And it says, he speaks of his own character, for he is a liar and a father of lies, because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? Because you know what happened when you got sin. That's why he said he without sin cast the first stone. Ain't no way he can say what he's saying. Yahusha can say whatever he wants. That's why he said, what you gonna convict me of sin? Because then he gotta go shut up somewhere. You know, like Dawid when he committed adultery with Bathsheba, or Isabel when she forged documents and killed Neobah, or Mariam when she came at Michelle. What are you doing marrying that Ethiopian woman, that other woman? What you doing? Yahuwah like, what you doing? He without sin, you all that sin you got in your life. He said, but because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? If I tell you the truth, why you do not believe me? Whosoever is of Elohim hears Yahuwah's word. Hears the words of Elohim. The reason why you do not hear them is because you are not of Elohim. That's why he's trying to tell people truth is lacking. Righteousness is far away. Justice is far away. There is a famine in the land. Not of bread and water. They got plenty of food in Prasad. They full, but they were stuffing their face for all them lambs and goats and sheep and drinking and wine. They denied him 3 times too. Even Koth denied him. We talked about that. Eating more than 3 meals a day, stuffing their face. Satan got control of their whole body. And you know what happens? They come here to the bar with food in their mouth. That's why he said, truth is lacking. Y'all ain't got no truth. Y'all got all that food in your mouth, though. You fat. Your belly stick over your belt. And he said, why he say that? They hesitated. I ain't gonna say that, but that was funny, though. They used to say this thing in college, but. And it says, which one convicts me of sin? I tell you the truth. Why do you not believe me? Whosoever is of Elohim hears your words of Elohim. The reason you do not hear them is because you are not of Elohim. The Yahudim answered him, Are we not right? Are we not right in saying that you are a Samaritan and have a demon? Truth is lacking. He said, y'all really ain't got the bar in your mind when you start saying that. He's like, man, you ain't got no bar in you. And they ask him, are we right to say you're a Samaritan and got a demon? They ask him, they scared now. And he said, I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father and you dishonor me. Right? Just going back to Exodus. Shemuth, Exodus chapter 18. I don't even want to go. Shemuth chapter 18 and verse 16. 18:16. And when they have a dispute, they come to me and decide between one person and another. And I make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws. Mashah, father-in-law, said to him, What are you doing? It's not good. You and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out, for the things is too heavy for you. What do you think they were trying to do to Yahushua? They're trying to wear him out with all them questions. Trying to convict him of sin. Didn't want to listen to what he's saying. That's to wear you out. And you know what he said? And people said, why Yahushua sat on the well and he was tired? He said, give me something to drink. Man, these people don't wear me out. And he said, if you give a Nabi a cool glass of water, he said, you should no wise lose your reward. He says, you are not able to do it alone. Now obey my voice, and I will give you advice. And Elohim be with you. You shall represent the people before Elohim and bring their cases to Elohim. And you shall warn them about the statutes and the laws, and make them know the way in which they must walk, and they must do. Moreover, look for able men from all the people, men who fear Elohim, who are trustworthy, and hate bribes. Because you know, when people start to get that money, they're going to use that money, that unjust gain. That's why he told you not to love money. We just read that. When you start to love money, you take them bribes. He said, and hate a bribe, and place such men over the people as chiefs of thousands. You know what people, they take that bribe though, 10,000, 5,000. You know what? Your way is good. 100,000, right? 75,000, right? Currency, denarii, right? Rand, right? That's what they do. Pesos, which they ain't worth nothing either. But at the same time, digital pesos. And such men over people as chief of thousands, or hundreds, and fifties, and tens. And let them judge the people at all times. Because people say why? Because people don't know anything. Because the Kodashim supposed to judge the world. And you know what it says? He said at all times, every great matter they shall bring to you. Why do you think they brought that woman to you? We caught this woman in a very act of adultery. And it was a great matter. You know what he said? He without sin among you cast the first stone. They wanted to stone him. And you see how Yahushua's judgment is? Which one of you convict me of sin? But any small matter they shall decide themselves, for it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you. And if you do this, Elohim will direct you, and you will be able to endure, and all this people also will go to their place in peace. So Mashah listened to the voice of his father-in-law, and did all that he said. And Mashah chose able men of all Yasharal, and made them heads over the people, the chiefs of thousands, and hundreds, and fifties, and tens, and they judged the people at all times. And the hard cases they brought to Mashah, but any small matter they decided for themselves. Then Mashah let his father-in-law depart, and he went away to his own country. So you see, Why would he do that? This is the book of Luke, chapter 11, verse 1. Actually, yeah. Yeah, Luke chapter 6 and verse 11. Luke chapter 6 and verse 11. But they were filled with fury and discussed with one another what they might do to Yahushua. Why? Because he was a judge. He was like Moshe. And you know what he says? In 3 days he went out to the mountain to pray. He always on that mountain. That when Moshe was. And all that night he continued in the prayer to Elohim all night. And when the day came, he called his disciples and chose for them 12. He chose able men who hate bribes, who were able to take the burden off of him, to judge the people at all times. And you know what he said? Whose name, they named Shalakim, Simon, which name was Kav, Andrew, his brother, James, Yochanan, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, the son of Alphaeus, Simon, who was called Zelot, and Judas, the son of James, and Yehuda Iscariot, who became the traitor, who took the bribe. Didn't he take the bribe? Did he not take the bribe? He wasn't supposed to. That's why he was a traitor, because he took the bribe. He was the bribe. He was unstable. He was the unstable judge who loved that money more than Yahuwah himself. Why do you think in 1 Corinthians he told you not to love money? Why do you think he told you to act and be a certain way? As the Kadashim who's going to judge the world. You're supposed to take the burden off of him. We're supposed to take the burden off Yahushua. And we're supposed to be the judges of the world. But how are you going to judge people when you got sin and you love money? Right? You can't. Because it's all a part of it. He said, man, why he say that? Because that's a part of it. Because that's all a part of it. That's why he chose it. And you know what people say? Yahushua was transgressing the word. No, he was fulfilling the word. That's what he was doing. He obeyed Jethro. No, he was fulfilling what Jethro said. That's all he did. And he said, and why did he do that? Right? This is the book of Yochanan. I'm gonna show you. Yochanan chapter 8, verse 53. They went to his, let me say, John chapter 8 and verse 53. They went and each to his own house, but Yahushua went to the Mount of Olives early in the morning, and he came to the temple, and the people came to him and sat down, and he taught them. And the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery and placing in the midst. And he said to him, Teacher, this woman has been caught in a very act of adultery. So you think about it. They already had this set up like Moshe with the scribes and the Pharisees, with the Levitical priest Louis and all that. They already had this stuff set up to where people get judged. But here's Yahushua with his own little layer one opposite their layer one. And he got his own little judgment crew, and then they got their judgment crew. All in the midst of their foolishness. So he got a whole nother faction within their faction. And you know what happens after that? Competition. They trying to prove that you ain't a righteous judge. And they trying to prove that they righteous judge by stoning people. And you know what happens after that? Now, in the law, Moshe commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say? This, they said, to test him. They might have some charge to bring against him. They want to convict him to get him to stop doing what he's doing. And Yahushua bent down and wrote his on the finger, and as they asked, and as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to him, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. He did it twice. By 2 or 3 witnesses that every word be established. He was doing judgment, righteous judgment again. I'm writing it on the ground and I'm gonna convict both of all y'all. I'm doing it twice just to get you in, just like Deuteronomy chapter 19 says. 2 or 3 witnesses. And guess what? But when they heard it, they went away one by one. He said, "You ain't got no sin, then you can throw a stone at me." But I already know Yahuwah already charged all with disobedience. For all have fallen and come short. So he said, "What you doing throwing stones at people?" And what you do, you got some people today desiring to throw stones at people. And they worship idols. And then people say, they of the truth, full of the Ruach and righteous judgment. They just like Yasharal and Yehuda. No, they're not. The ones who believe in Mashiach, no, they're not. And if you got this in your heart and your mind, you really don't get it. You ain't supposed to be stoning nobody. You shouldn't even have a desire to do that. Because you already know you evil. You already know you evil. You know you've been transgressing the law every week. You transgress Torah every week. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. That's what happened. These older people, man, they just lost their mind. They got all these idols in their heart. They got all this adultery and fornication in their heart. They got all this lying in their heart. They got all these wickedness in their heart. And you know what they do? They be bringing the younger people in. And you know what happened? We just read in Amos chapter. He said, famine in the land. He said that the virgins are becoming faint-hearted. The young men and the virgins becoming faint-hearted because they're older people. And he said, man, you just said that about the older people. He said that's the reason why Yahushua came on the scene. Because remember, they deceived all these generations. And people say, what's going on? Yahuwah, man, people have no idea. From the older ones, and Yahushua, he said, beginning from the older ones, and Yahushua left alone with the woman standing before him. All right, that's exactly what happens to them. That's what exactly should happen to them. The woman should be alone with Yahushua. When y'all be seeing, when people commit adultery, fornication, lying, doing all these things that y'all want to convict people on, no, you just need to leave them alone with Yahushua. That's what people need to do. Leave them alone with the Mashiach Yahushua himself. After you receive your judgment, you see that? Look at that. They got the judgment. Everybody left. Like, man, look at here. We can't say nothing. And then everybody should just go, shut up. And then you go leave the woman and the man or wherever it happened with Yahushua himself. And let him deal with it. Because this a high, that's real, that's a matter that's a hard matter. You know what I say? That's real hard. And you know what happens? And he said, left alone with the woman standing before him. And Yahushua stood up and said to her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? Man, nobody can say nothing about you. And that's the same thing you got to look about today. You can only speak, I can speak to the bar, right? That's it. After that, what you gonna be like? He without sin cast the first stone. You can't throw no stone. Look at all the kata, sana, sane, all the stuff that's going on in the world today. You actually believe that you can throw a stone at somebody. She said, no one, master. He said, where everybody at? Because they don't know. He said, man, you got a lot of sin. Go sit down somewhere. And Yahushua said, neither do I. You know, people say slander is not a sin. Slander is a sin. Slander, gossip, hatred, jealousy, envy, all the things that Romans chapter 1 talks about. He said, you deserve to die. You know where you should be trying to, how you say? And get what he said. No one, master. Yahusha said, neither do I condemn you. From now on, sin no more. Huh? But I thought the law of Moses said you're supposed to die. The law of Moses said you're supposed to stone her to death. The law of Moses said you're supposed to, put her away, right? It does. For the hardness of your heart. For the hardness of your heart, you want to stone this woman with sin in your life. But from the beginning, Yahuwah been forgiving people. He's full of steadfast love, mercy, and compassion. Forgiving everybody. He'll never leave you nor forsake you. People think after you do these acts, you be thinking, Yahushua he gonna leave me and forsake me. It's impossible. Who are once enlightened, and weren't these people once enlightened? Well, then the people had all the Torah, the knowledge, and the Yahuwah's name, the Hebrew. They know Abri Lashon better than everybody. They had all the writings. They had everything. Right? They had even money. They had the funds. They had the temple. They had everything. The land, that people say. They had their inheritance. They were. But guess what happened? They got judgment on them. And the same way this woman got judgment on her, but her judgment was, you're free to go. He said, and he was like, man, they couldn't convict her because the other man wasn't there. I'm like, Yahuwah was already looking at them before. Yahuwah got X-ray vision. He already seen what was going to happen. The only reason he saw that woman, they saw the plot and scheme and the sin that they were doing, getting ready to do against him. Because a plot and a scheme is a sin. All that's a part of it. Verse 12 says, and again Yahushua spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Then now you see how you're the oil of the world. Convicting people of things that they're doing, but then forgiving them after you convict them. That is the light or of the world. Convicting people, seeing what they do, and then letting them go. You get what it says? Saying, I'm the light of the world. Whosoever follows me will not walk in darkness. Now you see, why you think that woman is like, man, I'm going to follow you everywhere you go now. You just forgave me for a sin that I deserve death for. But we'll have the light of life. Why do you think he preserved her life? So the Pharisee said to him, you are bearing witness about yourself. Your testimony ain't true. They still around too. Even though you're doing all these things, beware the leaven of the Pharisees. Epo, male and female, beware the leaven of the Pharisees. They still around, they still listening. They eavesdropping. Right? If you're in the temple, if you're in the building, if you're over here, if you're in the woods, they got a drone following you around, listening to everything you say. Well, we got them now. But they got the phone and the tele, they got something to convict you on now. They be like, we got them now. But he say, man, who without sin cast the first stone? You can say it in your phone. He without sin cast first stone. He without sin among you in your group that's recording cast the first stone. So the Pharisee said to him, you are bearing witness about yourself. Your testimony is not true. Yahushua answered, even if I do not bear witness about myself, my testimony is true. I know where I came from and where I am going. I'm confident. You can confidently say, Yahuwah is my helper. We just read that. I will not fear what man can do to me. The scribes and the Pharisees and all these people, he said, I don't. So why are you? You say you follow him. And both male and female, so why are you afraid? Even if I do bear witness about myself, my testimony is true. For I know where I came from and where I'm going. But you do not know where I come from and where I am going. You don't even know where I come from. You judge according to the flesh. There you go. And then when he brought Mashah to, he said, man, get some able men, get you about 12 shalakim. Y'all judge people all the time, right? and you let them not see and judge them every single day. He said, you judge according to the flesh. And that's why he without sin cast the first stone. Get what he said? I judge no one. You know why he said he don't judge no one? Because he ain't judging according to the flesh. Yet even I do judge. My judgment is true. He said, I don't judge according to the flesh, the basar. You know how you judge? I judge according to the Ruach. And right now, the Ruach, the judgment, the great day of judgment for the Ruach is not yet here yet. So therefore, being that it's not there here yet, I can't convict anybody yet. So therefore, everybody is free to go. Everybody has another opportunity to make things right. Everybody has an opportunity to say, Yahuwah, have mercy on my soul, a sinner. Everybody has that opportunity because the great day of judgment is not here. If you judge according to the flesh, you believe your judgment is here now, and you stoning people, and you judging according to the flesh. And anybody who follows them, you're judging according to the flesh. Because everybody should have another opportunity to make things right in life. Everybody. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't even matter if you're in the backwoods of Siberia, all the way to the low domains of Ushaid. It doesn't matter. Everybody has an opportunity to do that. And if you say opposite, listen to this. My judgment is true, for it is not I alone who judge. This is both male and female. So y'all want to cast judgment now. And you be doing it according to the flesh. It'll all be your flesh. It's your flesh. It's your flesh. It ain't got nothing to do with the Ruach. The Ruach come later on in life. Like it's gonna come next month. When you start lining to the Ruach, then you'll find yourself going to the Ruach. You'll be going to the spirit world. That's a different type of judgment. And it says, but I and my Father who sent me. He says, it is not I alone who judge, but I and my Father who sent me. Huh? In your law, it is written that, in your law, it is written that the testimony of two people is true. I am the one who bear witness about myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness about me. So Yahuwah got 2 or 3 witnesses. Do you know everybody's convicted right now? There are already 2 or 3 witnesses against your life right now. For every sin and the kata'ar, anything you've done in your life, there's already 2 or 3 witnesses against you right now. And there's nothing you can do about it but repent. I am the one who bears witness about myself, and the Father who sent me bear witness about me. They said to him, therefore, where is your Father? Yahushua answered, you know neither me nor my Father. If you know me, you would know my Father also, right? Right, so this is the book of This is the book of, let me get out of here. Let's see. So this is the book of Luke. Actually, yeah. Yeah, this is the book of Luke, chapter 11. Luke chapter 11 and verse 14. Luke chapter 11, verse 14. Now he was casting out demons that was mute. And when the demons had gone out, the mute man spoke. And the people marveled. But some of them said, he cast out demons by Beelzebub, the Nasi of Shadim. While others, to test him, kept seeking from him a sign from Shamayim. They kept testing him. Right? They kept testing him. That's all people are going to do. They're going to watch you and test you. But he, knowing their thoughts, said to them, every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and a divided household falls. So A wise woman builds her house, but through folly she tears it down to the ground. Because the household divided. Because of her sin. Because she got sin. That's the only reason the household destroyed. That's why she tore it down. Because she got sin. She don't want to be a manager of the house. Like, you know what happens. You get, he said, pressure. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to tear it down. It says, and if Satan also is divided against himself, how will his kingdom stand? He said, man, how in the world is it going to stand up? For you say that I cast out demons by Beelzebub. And if I cast out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore, they will be your judges. Because that's what he came to do, just like Messiah. Because, you know, justice is far away. Truth is lacking. Matter of fact, if you say, and I do that, he said, matter of fact, if you claim what your claim is true, then you let Beelzebub be your judges. He said, how you casting out demons? Then let them be your judges, because they casting out by Beelzebub. Yahushua like, I ain't casting out by Beelzebub. You casting out, let them be your judges. And guess what it says? But if it is by the finger of Elohim, and when he wrote on the ground, why do you think all them demons left? When he said he without sin cast the first stone. Them demons got so hurt. Them shadim on the inside of them people, they got so hurt, they were like, let me just go. But if it is by the finger of Elohim that I cast out demons, then the kingdom of Elohim has come upon you. When a strong man, fully armed, guards his own palace. He said, are you fully armed? Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your palace. Your second letter of the alphabet, Ba'ith. Your house, your temple. Are you fully armed? Or you ain't got your weapon in your hand? Are you still struggling? You still struggling with your training? And then what it says, and when a strong man is fully armed, he guards his own palace. His goods are safe. But when one stronger than he attacks him and overcomes him, he takes away his armor in which he trusted and divided his spoil. Now you see why I told you I love money. We talked about dwelling in quietness on the mountain, and here come Gog and Magog. And he said, and the leader's going to say to Gog and Magog, are you come to take our spoil and take what we got? Because they were stronger than him. Think about it. All them people start coming at you. Man, there's too many people to fight off. I can't fight off a whole 100,000, 500,000 people, 100,000 people, everybody. You can't fight off all them people. Why do you think Yahushua was overcoming? They were stronger than him. He had to put on weakness. They weren't stronger than him, but he had to make himself weak. That you can be strong. That's the only reason he was even taken by all Yasharal and the Pontius Pilate and the Roman Empire. And all the other people. And don't forget about Persia, Put, and Cush, because they were all plotting against Jerusalem during that time too. They all were joining together. It was all a plot anyway. In Arabia. And it says, fully armed his own house, his goods, right? Verse 22. But when one stronger than him attacks him and overcomes him, he takes away his armor in which he trusted and divides his spoil. Whosoever is not with me is against me. And whosoever does not gather with me scatters. He said, well, y'all, so you're not with me. You're trying to scatter what I'm doing. You ain't trying to help. Verse 20 and 24. Actually, we don't get there. But he says, yeah, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going there. This is the book of this is the book of it's It's the book of Matthew. Actually, let's get out of here. Right, this is the book of Nazarene, actually the Shalakim. The Nazarene, actually the Shalakim. Nazarene, actually the Shalakim. Nazarene, actually the Shalakim. Yeah. Nazarene, actually the Shalakim, chapter XXX, page 188. Chapter 30, page 188. It says, the nostrils are made for the purpose of collecting, inspiring and expiring air, that by the renewal of the breath, the natural heat that is in the heart may, by means of the lungs, be either warmed or cooled, as occasion may acquire, while the lungs are made to abide in the breast, that by their softness they may soothe and cherish the vigor of the heart, in which the life seems to abide the life. Now, it says, I say, not the Ruach. Why? Because you judge according to flesh. Guess what it says? And what will I say of the substance of blood, by which proceeding as a river from a fountain, and first borne along in one channel, and then spreading through innumerable veins, as through canals, irrigates and the whole territory of the human body with vital streams. All right, you look at your body as that river system. You know, people say, my body is not a river system. Yes, it is. It's just like the rivers that you see that serve you when you drink water. That blood vessels in those capillaries and those dendrites and axons and all those things in your body serve you. And if they clogged up and somebody dammed your river, put a dam there, or you say like they put a dam, but dam is blood in Hebrew, abri. They put that word in your mind to say it means something totally different, not even knowing it means blood. And then when you put those words in your capillaries and your veins, and you allow it to clog your consciousness up, then your veins and your arteries and your heart get clogged with demons. Because it's the darkness of errors and it's ignorance and it's lies. And then Satan get in your heart and your mind through words. And it says, proceeding as a river from a fountain, the firstborn along the one channel, and then spreading through the innumerable veins and through canals, irrigates the whole territory of the human body with vital streams, being supplied by the agencies of the liver, which is placed on the right side. He said, your liver. Why? Your liver filters out everything I'm saying. And it's on your right side. Amazing on your right ear where you hear Yahuwah at. And amazing when Mashah took the blood of the sacrifice, he anointed the right big toe, the right thumb, right ear, right? All that's a part of what? The cleansing part of your body. Because amazingly, he said he holds the 7 stars in his right hand. And people say, why people have strokes? Why? Because all this is all part of this whole construct of your human nature and your body. And it's all geared towards words, the bar, and your understanding, your bina hatma da'at, in your mind. You gotta dispel the darkness of stupidity in yourself by the bar, by the word of Yahuwah. And it says right here, it says, through the fountain of the firstborn along in one channel, and then spreading through the innumerable veins, through the canals, and irrigates the whole territory of the human body with vital streams, being supplied by the agency of the liver, which is placed in the right side, for effecting the digestion of food. And turning it into blood. Say what? Now you say, why you need your liver? Why you think you strong drink? They destroy their body with that strong drink. Reveling in the daytime. You know what happens? When Yahushua speaks, why don't you understand what I say? It gets in, and guess what? It can't even get in your bloodstream. It can't even heal your body. It can't, because you're drunk. And your liver is messed up. It can't filter and turn it into blood. It says, but in the left side, it placed the spleen, which draws to itself, and in some ways cleanses and purifies. It says, and cleanses the impurities of the blood. Right? So why I go there? It's for a reason. Just like everything else. It's just like everything else, right? Because if one doesn't, he said, why? Because it's all a part of it. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of it, right? Right, so this is the book of, this is the book of so this is the book of Mark chapter 2. Mark chapter 2 and verse 18. Mark chapter 2 verse 18. Now John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. And people came and said to him, why do Yohanan's disciples and disciples of the Pharisees, fast, but your disciples do not fast? He said, why y'all not fasting? They fasting, why y'all not? I thought y'all won. Ain't y'all supposed to be together, right? And Yahushua said to him, can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? He said, why would I do that? The bridegroom is with them. And he said, why would the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with him? Yahushua said, I'll never leave you nor forsake. I'll be with you always to the end. I'll never do that. But it says, as long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. He said, what's the point you fasting for? Because he said, as long as the Yahushua remains inside of my body, and he stays with me, and I keep myself in a certain state of mind and being, why would I fast? But if you lose him and you transgress things, then guess what? You got to fast to get him back. Because you got to filter out all that stuff that's in your blood. You got to. Because it's inside your system. It's inside your body. And being that it's inside your body, Yahushua can't dwell inside of you. He can't give you the bar to produce the blood that he cohabitates with. And he says, the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them. He said, when the ruach go from you, when the bar go from you, because truth is lacking. When that start happening, guess what you're going to do? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and they will fast in that day. He said, you're going to now. He said, you will fast in that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. That's why you got to get rid of your old self. It's the old way. It's all old. Your old life, your old word, your old way of thinking. He said your old life, your old way of thinking, your old way of doing things. He said it's all old. It's molded. You know what it says? If he does, it's an old garment. If he does, the patch tears away from it. That's all it's going to do. You're just patching up things that are old. That's your old life. He says, if he does, the patch tears away from it, and the new, it says, the new from the old, and a worse tear is made. It's even worse. And no one puts new wine into old wineskin. You can't put that in the old body, your old way of living. That's an old wineskin. If he or she does, the wine will burst the skins and the wine is destroyed. Man, that good wine that you should be giving people. He said, you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. Oh. But if you ain't got the blood, then your liver ain't filtering out, then it ain't going to produce no more blood of Yahushua inside of you. So therefore, you ain't got the blood inside of you no more. Therefore, it ain't flowing through your rivers and your streams and your veins. And out of your belly ain't flowing rivers of living water. It says, and the wine is destroyed, so that the skins, and so are the skins. But the new wine is for fresh wineskins. It's for fresh wineskins, because that's the whole point. Because if you don't, it's all a part of it, right? It's all a part of it, right? Right. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 17. Matthew chapter 17 and verse 16. Matthew 17:16. Matthew 17:16. Matthew 17:16. Actually, going over to 17:14. It says, and when they came to the crowd, a man came up to him and kneeling before him said, Master. He said, Master. He came to him and said, Master, have mercy on my son, for he has seizures and is suffering terribly. Right? He said, why would he say that? He said he's suffering terribly. He's suffering terribly. It says, for often he falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not heal him. Because you're supposed to bring the hard matters to Yahushua. And Yahushua answered, O faithless and twisted generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him here to me. And Yahushua rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the boy was healed instantly. Because he's supposed to bring the hard matters. He said that difficult matters they bring to me. He said you can't cast this shadim out. And he said, and the boy was healed instantly. And the disciples came to Yahushua privately, said, why could we not cast it out? He said, this is a harder matter. And he said to him, because of your a little amunah, you ain't got no faith. You got no amunah. For truly I say to you, if you have the amunah like a grain of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there. Because you ain't got no amunah on the inside of you. You ain't got no faith. You ain't got no amunah. You don't believe. You don't believe you can do it. I say, I don't believe I can do it. I don't believe I can run one lap around the track. He said, if you tell you go 1 mile, go 2. You say, I can't even run a mile. You say, you can't even go 2, huh? You ain't got no amunah. Because they're going to cause you to push and find it. That's what amunah does. It causes you to push things inside of your heart and mind and find that truth in yourself that's going to make you do it. And get what it says. You will say to this mountain, move from here, there, and it will move. And nothing will be impossible for you. Now you see why everything is impossible for you. People say, why things are impossible for people to do? It's because they ain't got no movement. They ain't got no faith. That's why. You ain't got no faith. Verse 22, actually, yeah. He said, you ain't got no faith, right? That's the whole point. Right, this is the book of this is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. Isaiah chapter 47, I think it is. Yeah, 47. Isaiah chapter 47. Yeah, Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin of daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For you shall no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstone and grind flour. Put off your veil, strip off your robe, uncover your legs, pass through the rivers." He said, "Man, get to the other side of the river." You know how they got to the other side of the river. He said, but it says, you know how, and it says, "Your nakedness shall be uncovered, and your disgrace shall be seen, and I will take vengeance, and I will not spare no one." He said, "I ain't sparing nobody." Because Yahushua is the righteous judge. Our Redeemer, Yahuwah of hosts, is his name. The Kudash one of Yasharah. That's what he is. "Sit in silence and go into darkness, O daughter of Chaldean. For you shall no more be called the mistress of the kingdoms." Right? He said, you ain't never going to be called that again. Verse 8. "Now therefore, hear this, you lover of pleasure." He's like, "Hear this, you lover of pleasure, who sit secretly, who say in your heart." You know, people say they sit secretly and they say inside their heart and their mind, "I am, and there is no one besides me." Ain't nobody like me. But I'm so righteous, nobody can say nothing about me. You know how people say, they have that mindset. He saying nobody can say nothing about me. "I shall not," get what he said, "and none besides me, I shall not sit as a widow or know the loss of children." Ain't nothing gonna happen to me, because being that I'm this righteous person, I'm so righteous and good, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I ain't gonna take no losses. "These two things shall come to you in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood." When people say they got the lifted up mind in their heart and their mind, and people think they somebody, Yahuwah say, "I'm going to cast you down to the ground." And you know what he said? "Shall come upon you," and you know what it says, "the loss of children and widow shall come upon you in full measure, in spite of your many sorceries and great power of your enchantments. You felt secure in your wickedness." He's like, people feel so secure in your evil deeds. And you know what people say? He said, you daughters that feel this way, and you sons that feel this way. He said, you so secure in your wickedness. You said, "No one sees me." He said, "Nobody sees me." Your wisdom and your knowledge led you astray. He said, you know what happened to Kua in the garden? You know what happened to her in the garden? "And you said in your heart, I am, and there is no one besides me." And then after you did all that, you brocked yourself in your heart. You say, "Ain't nobody besides me." "But evil shall come upon you, which you will not know how to charm away." He said, your sorcery, you ain't gonna be able to charm this one away, because this is your code's trouble. He said, this is your code's trouble. You ain't gonna be able to charm your way out of this. You ain't gonna be able to use no enchantments. You ain't gonna be able to use no craft. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing to get out of this. "Disaster shall fall upon you, from which you will not able to atone." He said, ain't no way in the world you're gonna be able to fix this. We talked about it last week when he talked about the curse is gonna be upon the woman who bears the child. First she disobeyed Yahuwah, then she disobeyed her husband, and then she bore up an heir by another man. And you know what he said? You ain't gonna be able to atone for this. "And ruin shall come upon you suddenly, of which you know nothing." You ain't gonna know what's gonna happen. You know how I said, when Yahuwah come and punish you. "Stand fast in your enchantments." He said, make sure you stand real strong in your enchantments, and your many sorceries, and your sorceries that you use, and your idol worship, in which you have labored from your youth. He said, you did all these sins from your youth, from the time you were young. "Perhaps you may be able to succeed. You may be able to win. Matter of fact, you might beat Yahushua. Woo. Like the men Mizraim who came against Mashah and withstood him and said, you know what, we're going to withstood Mashah and we're going to whoop your behind. And he threw his rod down and they threw their rod down. And he said, you may win. You actually might win too. You might win. You might win. You might. You actually might. So perhaps you may be able to succeed. Perhaps you may inspire terror. You may actually inspire other people to be afraid of you. You are wearied with your many counsels. You know how people do? You know, look how many counsels all over the place now today. They wearing these women, they wearing men and women out. They got their minds so they got so much counsel out here, it's ridiculous. People can't even think straight. Let them stand forth and save you. Let all them counsels save you. Let all these different counsels save you. Those who divide the Shemaims, who gaze at the stars, who at the new moons make known what shall come upon you. You see all these horoscopes. You see all these things taking place. You see all these things. You see all these sun, moon, and star worshipers. They got wisdom too. And you know what? People be hearkening to them. They be finding out about the herbs and the vitamins and the minerals. They be hearkening to it. They be taking in their seed. They be taking in their enchantment words. And then they take on their behaviors and they start doing enchantments and doing all these things and thinking they somebody. They be doing all this wickedness. And you be taking in their seed and you don't even know that you be taking in their behaviors, because that seed, it mingles in with truth and then gets in your bloodstream, and then now it's in your bloodstream and it's filtering through your livers. And you no longer, now you ain't got your Yahushua in you, now you got to fast to get them back. Now you got to fast to get them back. Because now you got all these enchantments. Now you say, you don't forsook Yahushua. You was like, man, you know what? You don't want me no more. You don't want me no more. Behold, they are like stubble, and you want to be like them. And fire consume, and the fires consume them. They cannot deliver themselves from the power of the flames. Ayin ish lapi. Is not my word like fire? He gonna throw the beast and the false Nabi'im and Nabiyah in this lake of fire. He said you ain't gonna be able to do it. You actually might beat Yahushua though. I'm gonna stand. He said, I'm gonna stand 144,000 feet away just to see if you do. And my righteousness is gonna be real far away. Matter of fact, justice is gonna be real far away. I'm gonna see. It's gonna be. I'm gonna be in the stand. You know how you had the game and you be in the stands. I'm gonna be eating my popcorn. Be waiting, like, man, let me see if they win. Woo, let me see if she wins. Let's see. Let's see. Behold, they are like stubble. The fire consumes them. They cannot deliver themselves for the power of the flame. No coals for warming oneself is this. No fire to sit before. Such to you are those with whom you have labored, who have done business with you from your youth. You know how Yahushua said, I gotta be on my father's business? But your business been with them. And you've been doing all your business with them, and now you've been doing with Yahushua Mashiach and working with him. That, you know, I say to do the things that you're supposed to do on a daily basis. You know what it says? They wander about each to his own direction. That's what everybody's doing. They're going in their own direction. They do what they want. They do what you want to do. There is no one to save you. Because there's only one person to save you. Why? Because that's the whole point. Because if you say, you be like, man, ain't nobody gonna, man, please, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. Right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 15. Book of Proverbs, Mashali 14 and 15. Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 15. The simple believes everything. He's like, man, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I know. We all know, you might actually win. He said, make sure you're strong too. You might actually beat Yahushua. You might actually beat Mashah. You might actually beat his judgments. You know, he's a man acquainted with grief, a man of sorrows for you. A man whom you hide your face from. Let's see if you win. It says, the simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. And that's what you ain't doing. People say, why? Because you ain't giving thought to your steps when you're doing these things. You're seeking after these people, these type of people. With these enchantments, the sun, moon, and stars, they telling you things to come. You're not really guarding your steps. Like, you're not giving thought to his steps. Like, and people saying, why? And a lot of the people who be singing to you be doing that stuff. And then you take on their behavior, you take on their lyrics, you take on their thoughts, take on their mind, and then you take on their behavior, and then guess what happens? Then you start to take on who they are, and you start to lose your Yahusha in your bloodstream, and then you start to turn into another being. And you're not really actually with Yahusha like you say you are. Because the Kadashim gonna judge the world. Know ye not that the Kadashim gonna judge the world? And if you can't judge these small matters, because who judges the large matters? How shall you judge Malachim? Because you got sin in your life. You ain't gonna be able to judge no Malachim. What Malachim you gonna be able to judge? You ain't gonna be able to judge no Malachim because you got sin in your life. Both male and female. How are you gonna be able to judge somebody when you got sin? But I hope you're strong enough. I hope y'all strong enough. Shoot, you be like, oh, we don't know anything about that, man. We know all about the cosmos and the Shemesh Kuku in the yard. We the Shemesh Kuku in the yard. We are the signs in the earth. We are the eighth. We are the signs in the earth. We are the people who understand the star, that's understanding where Yusuf's star is. We are the people who are acquainted in all wisdom and knowledge and understanding. We are the people that the Torah talks about. That's who we are. We the oil of the world. We are the light of the world. But nah, you believe they're the light of the world. That's why you seek after them. He gave the herb book to Shem. He didn't get an herb book to them. They stole it. And then they take it, and you know what they do? They get you to seek after them. That's the same thing they do to us in the world today. They take your knowledge and information, and they make you seek after them. Not even knowing that they don't dominate this thing. How you say it? You're supposed to be the person that's on top. So therefore, you're now been induced by another Satan to follow them and get you in their bloodstream, and now your liver is producing blood according to their kind, and it's in your DNA. Because we are supposed to be the people that do that, and we are the people that do that. We are the one who worship Yahuwah, who can break the bands of the Kima and the Ketzel of Orion, and bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades stars. He holds the 7 stars in his right hand. We are the people who the Elohim of Yasharal, who created all things. We worship that Elohim Yahuwah. Why are you seeking after something less than him? Why? Isn't that an Elohim and Yasharal that you inquire of them on what herbs to take? Or you like Saul? Y'all like Saul? This is Proverbs 14:16. One who is wise and cautious and turns away from evil, but a fool is reckless and careless. A man of quick temper acts foolishly. Because you be slow to speak, slow to rap. Why? Because you got to be just like Yahusha. You got to be he was out saying among you cast the first stone. Because you can't be angry real fast. You can't be quick tempered. He was out saying among you cast the first stone. You ain't going to be able to judge properly. And a man of evil devices is hated. You should be. You know what happens? This is what I want. A simple heart inherits folly. That's why a wise woman tears her house to the ground, because of that these knowledge and understanding. And then they destroy your household to go attain it. And then once they attain it, then they realize it was fool's gold, it was Rumpelstiltskin. And guess what? Now you're trying to turn straw into gold, and now you ain't got no gold. And then you know what they say? You trying to say you refined through the fire, and you never were. You never were refined through the fire, that you may come out as pure gold. You never even went through it. You went through the fire of the trials of your wrongdoing. And guess what? The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Bina Hamada'ah. But my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So how you gonna get your crown if you ain't got no da'ah? Bina Hamada'ah. I told you, Bina Hamada'ah, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, it has to be a part of your crown. If you ain't got no wisdom, knowledge, and understanding about this world and how it operates, you're going to be fooled by Satan. Because he's wise. Beyond your comprehension. Not even your own comprehension. Your comprehension can't comprehend how wise this being is. The only person who can is Yahushua Mashiach. That's why he was able to go toe-to-toe with Beelzebub and Satan and Mastama at the same time. That's why he was able to go toe-to-toe with the Koros. That's why there was nobody could. That's why death is swallowed up in victory. He was able to take them down. And Amasia, all these other beings, right? He was able to take them down. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow down before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. Because that's all a part of it, right? That's all a part of it, right? So this is the book of. This is the book of Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu. (32 and 8). Yeshayahu 32 and 8. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 32 and 8. Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 8. But he who is noble plans noble things. And on the noble things he stands. Rise up, women who are at ease. Hear my voice, you complacent daughters. You like the daughters of the Chaldeans. Give ear to my speech. In a little more than a year you will be shuddered, and you complacent women. For the grape harvest fails, and the fruits harvest will not come. Tremble, you women who are at ease. Shudder, you complacent ones. Strip and make yourselves bare. Uncover yourself and tie sackcloth around your waist. Beat your breasts for the pleasant fields. Let's look at the field. The field is the world. For the fruitful vine, for the soil of my people growing up in thorns and briars. Yes, for all the joyous houses in the exalted city, for the palace is forsaken. He said, you don't forsook the palace, the Ba'ith, the house, the temple. You forsook the Ba'ith, the house, the temple. The populous city deserted. The hill and the watchtower will become dens forever. A joy of wild donkeys, a pasture of flocks until the Spirit is poured out upon us from on high. Look at that. Look at what's going to happen. Until you get the Ruach, this is going to happen. And the wilderness becomes a fruitful field. You're going to need him back. You need him back. You need Yahushua back. And the fruitful field is deemed a forest. You need Yahushua back. Then justice will hold. Justice is far away. But now, then justice will dwell in the wilderness. And the righteousness shall abide in the fruitful field. I thought justice and righteousness were far away. Now it's close to you. You need him back. My people will abide in a peaceful habitation. Peaceful. They're going to delight themselves in abundance of shalom. In secure dwellings and in quiet resting places. In quietness. And when they're like they're on the mountain, in the waste place. In quietness. And it will hail. And it will hail when the forest falls down, and the city will utterly be laid low. Happy are you who sow beside all waters, who let the feet of the ox and the donkey range free. This is Proverbs chapter 17. Mostly Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 1. It says, better is a dry morsel with quiet. He said, better is a ration, like a little small dry morsel in quiet, Then a house full of feasting with strife. You can have all the food, you can have the best feast you can have. But he said, better is a dry morsel with quiet, privately. A servant who deals wisely will rule over a son who acts shamefully. And you know what happens after that? And will share the inheritance as one of the brothers. The crucible is for silver, and the furnace is for gold, and Yahuwah tests hearts. How he gonna test your heart? By suffering you to hunger. Because that's the only way you're gonna test people. People that walk by the flesh. Because there's a famine in the land. He gonna make a famine in the land, not of bread and water and food and natural food that waste away, but here near the bar. He said, I'm coming to test your heart and see what you're gonna do after you ain't know the bar left. When the bar's gone, I want to see what y'all do. And evildoer listen to wicked lips. That's what happens. That's what happens when you listen to these Chaldean type people, these Nimrod type people, the Hunter Star type people, the Herd Star type people, the Beetlejuice type people. When you start listening to the sun, moon, Shemesh, Kuriniyar, and the predictions of the pink moon, the red moon, and the blue moon, of course they all have meanings. But you're inquiring of the wrong people. And it says the crucible, here's what it says, the crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold. And Yahuwah tests hearts. And evildoer listens to wicked lips. That's what you're doing. People saying, well, what do you think on their lips? Oh, let me guess. They have righteousness and love and peace and compassion with Yahuwah's name on it. And a liar gives ear to a mischievous tongue. Whosoever mocks the poor insults his maker, right? But that's me. But he said, a dry morsel and quiet, right? Here we go. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 16. Actually 15 and 14. Proverbs 15 and 14. Proverbs 15 and 14. The heart of him who has understanding seeks knowledge. My people are destroyed. You're seeking out the Bina Hamada'an. But the mouths of fools feed on folly. And you know why your house is destroyed? Because the wise woman built her house. But a fool tears it down, through folly tears down the ground. You know why? Because they listen to lying lips and mischievous tongue. But the mouth of fools feed on folly. All the days of the afflicted are evil. They say they're evil. People say it's good. No, no, it's not. It's an evil time. But a cheerful heart has a continual feast. It's continual. We have a cheerful heart. Why you think he said in the book of Devarim, he said, all these curses will fall upon you because you ain't served Yahuwah with joyful and gladness for the abundance of things. Okay. So you have a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of Yahuwah. Now you see why a dry morsel and quiet is better than a house full of feasting with strife. It is. It is. Better is a little with the fear of Yahuwah. I'm trying to tell y'all, it's better to have a little bit with the fear of Yahuwah than all that big feasting with strife and complaining. Then a great treasures and trouble with it. Man, you got all that treasures and all that stuff with it, man. All that stuff, you can have all the treasures in the world, all the things, and you got trouble with it. It's even worse because then you got to do all these things to get rid of it. It's just too much stuff. He said, why? Because it's better to be content with what things you have, and just like we read, and we read. It'd be content on things you have. And don't love money. Just be content. Or you're going to be trying to seek out the sun, moon, and stars and predict when you're going to make some money. You're going to be trying to, yes, when the sun, moon, and the stars and their alignments happen, this is what's going to happen. And this is what happens. This is how they get you in. This is how they trap you. He said, this is how these demons trap us. He said, this is how they do it. They be trapping us. And people say, why? They trap you. They good at it. They real good at it. They not fools. They know exactly what they're doing. They trap you with it. Better is a little with fear of Yahuwah than the great treasures and trouble with it. Better is a dinner of herbs. That's what this is. But you know what herbs is. Herbs don't taste good. When you get herbs in your body, that stuff make all types of things come out of your liver and your kidneys, out of your body, and you need it. He said, better is a dinner of herbs where love is, because whom Yahuwah loves, he corrects and chastens. And love covers a multitude of sins. The correcting covers a multitude of sins in our life. That's what it does. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fatted ox and hatred with it, working together with Satan. You're going to have a big old giant golden cow ox working together with the Satan to deceive and plot and scheme against people. Try to make yourself look a certain way when you know deep down in your heart you're evil. That's what people do today. He said, we're going to the first day of the 7th month. Verse 18, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife. Now you see why Yahushua, he was out sin cast the first time among you. He said, better is a dinner a dry morsel than a dry morsel than an ox with strife. A hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger quiets contention. He without sin among you cast the first stone. They all got quiet and they left. They were all contentious too. And they kept asking him over and over again. Verse 19, the way of a sluggard is a hedge of thorns. And then we talked about the careless daughters. Rise up, careless daughter. Look at all these thorns and briars everywhere. You careless women. But the path of the upright is a level highway. Man, it's lovely. Ain't nothing. You say you ain't gonna be tripping over nothing. Over your foot. He said, it ain't gonna happen. Verse 20, a wise son makes a father glad. Make a glad father. That's what a wise Hakman Ben does. He makes his father glad. But a foolish man despises his mother. Jerusalem above is free, and is the mother of us all. Jerusalem above. Where Yahuwah gonna dwell, he'll be the light thereof, and the sun will be the light thereof. And guess what happens? Folly is a joy to him who lacks sense. He said they be rejoicing in wrongdoing, just like 1 Corinthians chapter 13 says. He said, man, you ain't got no love in your heart. Folly is a joy to him who lacks sense, him or her, because folly, a woman builds her house, but if folly tears it down to the ground, how you got joy with your house broken up and torn down to the ground? How? Folly is joy to him who lacks sense. He said, man, you lack sense. I came by a field of a sluggard who lacking sense. Or like that man who, when we would go to night and much watching during Pesach. Man, I looked out the window. I saw a man out there. They were walking outside. It was dark. He was lacking sense, and he went into the house of an adulterous woman. Man, you saw what he did. Man, you real lacking sense, ain't you? I thought you were wise. He said he was lacking sense, and he went on in there, and her bed leads to Sheol. You ever said, but a man of understanding walks straight ahead. That's why you gotta be straight ahead. They say tunnel vision. Man or woman of what? Of understanding walks straight ahead. You gotta be like that. You always gotta keep Yahuwah frontly between your eyes. Look straight ahead. What you say? Okay, Yahuwah. What you say? Okay, Yahuwah. What you say, Yahuwah? Eat that. Okay, Yahuwah. What you say? Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. Now you see why when Jethro came to Mashah and said, man, get you by some other men. That's why Yahushua chose 12, the generals. And he said, you do the hard matters. That's what he told him to do. And that's what happens when you actually, people say, why did Yahushua do that? We almost finished. We almost finished. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 12 and verse 14. From the fruit of his mouth, a man is satisfied with good, and the work of a man's hands comes back to him. They're going to come back. The good deeds and the things you do in life, man or woman, the things you do for people, the things you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 2 months ago, a week ago, 20 years ago, they're going to come back to you. He said, if you don't like give up. And the works of a man's hands come back to him, right? And if it's evil, it's going to come back to you too. What you do with your hands, it's going to come back to you. Verse 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, right? And this is what happens. He said, I'm right in my own eyes. Let's see. But a wise man listens to advice. Now you see why Mashah listened to Jethro. Now you see why Yahushua, you see him fulfilling Jethro when he came on the scene. He listened to his advice. And Yahushua did it. And guess what? It was good advice too. You see how he would operate with them people? It was real good. Verse 16, the vexation of a fool is known at once, but the prudent ignores an insult. He's like, man, he insulted me. He's like, man, the prudent ignores your insult. He's like, man, he don't know what he's talking about. He's like, okay. Let me read. He said, these are more noble than Thessaloniki. They would search the scriptures daily to see if these things were so. Verse 17, whosoever speaks the truth gives honest evidence. They give honest evidence. Honest evidence of what? But a false witness utters deceit. He said, he giving honest evidence. Because truth is lacking. A moth is lacking. And he who departed from sin makes himself a prey. Verse 18, there is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts. You know, people be saying things out of nowhere. That thing be hurting. It's like a sword going in your stomach. It's just like Shabbat. Sword not word law rest perfection. He said, man, these ain't rash words, but some people be saying some things, man, that thing hurt. It hurts you to the heart. And you know what he says? But the tongue of the wise brings healing. Trust in Yahuwah. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your path to be healing to your shore and refreshment to your bones. A shed. Bone of my bone, breath of my flesh of my flesh, he shall be called a. Verse 19, truthful lips endure forever. Truth is lacking. How are you going to endure forever? How are you going to endure into eternal life? How are you going to endure this crazy world that we live in? But a lying tongue is but for a moment. He said, you'll endure for a while. But tribulation and trouble come because of the bar, you're going to be offended. It's only for a moment. Because when Satan gets in your heart and your mind, you only endure for a moment. When the real test, you know, that grown man adversity that come in your life, grown woman adversity come in your life. We talking about grown women adversity, grown men adversity. I'm talking about things where you That's when you know where you at. He said, man, I need to do some more training. He's like, man, you seen that? Man, that one was about 6'9", 480 pounds. That one, and he running 4'2". And he could run too. 130 feet tall, but he could run like 4'5", 4'4". You ain't running away from that. 2 steps, he always 2 steps, all across the country. You ain't gonna, where you gonna run? You're gonna be like when Dawid and them saw, and they saw that Malaki, and they were executing the judgment on them, they had hid themselves. They like, man, the Malaki outside. Of the struck. Man, you seen that Malaki? When he numbered the people. This ain't no game. People think it's a game. It's not a game. Verse 21. No ill befalls the righteous. Right, here we go. No ills befall the righteous. But the wicked are filled with trouble. Now you see why. Now that's how you know. You say, why are these things happen to us? But the wicked are filled with trouble. He said, what do you mean? We just read it. So when you start giving honest advice and truth, the righteous ain't gonna be convicted. Because why would the righteous be convicted when you start speaking the truth? Because they already know the truth, and the truth made them free. But the wicked are filled with trouble. Why? Because the wicked hate the light. They who do evil things hate the light. Neither come to it, because their deeds are gonna be reproved. They're gonna get made. They're gonna be like, man, you ain't nothing. Their deeds gonna be reproved. Lying lips are an abomination to Yahuwah, but those who act faithfully are his delight. Right. So this is out of that. This is the revelation of Peter. This is the revelation of Peter. It says, lack of knowledge, right? This is the Nag Hammadi scriptures, right? Let's see if I know this. This is page 494 of that book. It says, others will wander from evil words and mysteries that lead people astray. Right? Some who do not understand the mysteries and speak of what they do not understand will boast that the mystery of truth is theirs alone. He said, me and me alone. In arrogance, they will embrace pride and will envy the immortal soul that has been used as down payment for their authority, principality, and the powers of the ages. It says, wants to be with the immortal souls in the created world, in order that these powers who do not come from what exists have forgotten who they are, may be kabod, glorified by the immortal souls that do exist. The powers have not yet been saved or shown the way by them through they always have wished to become imperishable. Because this mortal must put on immortality. But for an immortal soul is empowered by the ruach of thought. And at once it is joined by one of those who were led astray. And guess what happened? By your thoughts. Many others who oppose truth and are messengers of error will ordain their error and their law against my pure thoughts, since they see from one perspective only. They think that good and evil come from the same source. They do business in my debar, and they will establish harsh fate in which the generations of immortal souls will run in vain until my return. And guess what it said after that? For the immortal souls will surely remain among them, and I have forgiven the transgressions into which they have fallen through their adversaries. And I have redeemed them from their slavery to give them freedom. We read it in the book of Yeshua. He said all the animals, they're going to roam free after all of that. But guess what it says? Some will create a mere imitation of the remnant in the name of a dead man. But guess what? Who is Hermes? And this is the firstborn of the unrighteous, in order that the little ones may not believe in the light that is. Right? Just like any other people. It ain't got to be his name. It could be other people. You make an imitation of remnant in the name of another human being. And guess what? The little ones going to believe in it. They're going to believe that it's the light there is. And he says, in order that the little ones may not believe in the light that is. You ain't going to believe in the order. That Yahuwah is light and in him is no darkness at all. They're going to be believing in a human being. A person and human on earth. And it says, these are the workers who will be cast into the outer darkness. Now you see why. When people start, you taking the immortal souls, which is of the Ruach, and then you start to make an image of yourself, and you start to make yourself something, and then they start worshiping you, and then they're Yahuwah's children, and then the little ones don't believe in the light that is. These are the workers who will be cast into outer darkness. You're going to be cast in the lake of fire. And from the children, away from the children of light. The children of order. And get what it says. For they will not enter, nor do they allow those who are going to their destination for their deliverance to enter. He said, why would he say that? He said, these people have sabotaged his children. And now you see why Yahushua came on the scene. And people say, why he said that? Because these are these people right here. These are, I'm going to the book of, I think it's Luke. This is the book of Luke. Here we go. This is Mark chapter 23, Matthew chapter 23, verse 10. Neither, it says 23, verse 5. They do 23, verse 9. Verse 8. But you are not to be called teacher, Rabbi, but for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And call no man father on earth, for you have one Father who is in Shamayim. Now you see why he said these people are going to be cast in the outer darkness. These workers who got my children don't believe in the light that is, and don't believe in the oil. Because Yahushua said, I have come that you might. He said, I am the light of you. I am the light of the world. Then you got people not believing in the light there is and believing that you are their light. Not even knowing, Yahushua said you only got one teacher. You get what it says? And you are all brothers. No man, he says, and call no one father on earth, Adas. You have one Father who is in Shamayim, Yahuwah Elohim. Neither be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Mashiach. This is what he told those who are going to judge. Then when Mashiach chose able men who hate bribes and all these things, he said, I chose these people. That's why Yahushua chose 12. And that's why they're going to sit on the 12 thrones of Yasharal, during the 12 tribes of judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. That's why they're going to be there. The greatest among you, get what it says, and no man, it says, and call no man father on earth, for you have one Father who is in Shamayim. Neither be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Mashiach. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whosoever exalts himself will be humbled. You're going to be humbled. And whosoever humbles himself will be exalted. But woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites. Here we go. For you shut the kingdom of Shamayim in people's faces. This is why he said you're going to be, you got them people believing that you are the light, that they got these little children, my little ones, believing that you are the light there is. They don't even believe in the light no more. You know what they say? But woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of Shamayim in people's faces, for you neither enter yourselves, nor allow those who will enter to go in. He said, you can't even get in. And then when the people that's trying to get in, you block them from getting in by blinding them, by having them worship you, and you got them not even believing in the light that is. And he said, you're going to be casting out of darkness. For you neither enter yourselves, nor allow those who would enter to go in. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you travel across sea and land to make a single proselyte. He said, man, they be on that plane, but you see how they be traveling across the world. People say, man, who should be showing people who they are. You trying to make one convert. And when he becomes a proselyte, a convert, you make him twice as much as the child of hell as yourselves. And people say, who are these people? He's like, man, it seems like these people just twice. And then you say, why you should roll on the ground twice? He said, now you see why you roll on the ground twice. Because he was a righteous judge. He is the righteous judge. That's why. And we said, woe to you blind guys who say, if anyone swears by the temple, it is nothing. But if anyone swears by gold in the temple, he is bound by an oath. Now you see why he told Mashah to take up able men who hate bribes. Why he think Yahushua told 12 to shut up? Because they love money. Yeah, you good. You blind fools. He said, you a fool. You know, a woman, he said, you blind fool, you tear down your whole house for some money. You know, that's what women do today. He called you a fool. This did not, Abigail. This did not, Sarah. This did not, Leah, recall. Leah recall, none of them did that. Rebecca, none of them did that. You know how it is. None of them did that. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you travel, here's what it says. You blind fools, for you, which is greater, the gold of the temple that has made the gold? And you say, it says, you blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that has made the gold sacred? And you say, if anyone swears by the altar, it is nothing. But if anyone swears by the gifts that is on the altar, he is bound by an oath. Boy, you see that stuff on the altar? Woo. Well, you bound by oath on that one, boy. You see that? That gold on there, that's silver. But they want that. As soon as you put it up there, you put a nice little envelope. Man, look at here. You put that gold and that silver, but you put a gold bar up there, they be like, woo. I'm sure people have done that in the past. He's like, man, look at here. I ain't gonna judge nothing you say. Man, whatever you say, you good, man. Don't worry about it. You blind men, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? So whosoever swears by the altar swears by it, and everything on it. And whosoever swears by the temple swears by it, and by him who dwells in it. And whosoever swears by the Shamayim swears by the throne of Elohim, and by him who sits upon it. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you tithe mint, dill, and cumin, and neglect the weightier matters of the law. Man, you know how he told Mashah, man, this thing real heavy for you, man. You gotta get able men. This thing real heavy for you. It's real heavy. Now you see why it's so heavy. Why you think he had to pick 12? Why you think Yahushua had to pick 12? He's like, man, these people done messed up this whole thing. I gotta come bear the weight of all this. I need 12 shalakim. And then that traitor Judas, he couldn't take, he gotta get the money. he got to get the bribe. That person. That person. He says, justice and mercy and faithfulness. These you ought to have done. Now you see why he was showing so much mercy and faithfulness. And mercy and faithfulness and justice. Why? Because justice is far away. We read it in Yeshayahu. And we know that the mercy and faithfulness, because we were in Nakamiyah, Yahuwah, even though they did all that, he never left them nor forsake them. And he still was ready to forgive. These you ought to have done. You should have did that. You know people say, I done did all this judgment, did all these things, and you ain't show no mercy. You ain't right judgment. You ain't show no mercy and faithfulness. You ain't even continue. These you ought to have done without neglecting the other. You blind gods, straining out the net and swallowing a camel, literally. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside you are full of greed and self-indulgence. You bribe taking. You know how you should. You bribe taking. Teaching for pride, not for money, hypocrites. You taking the wages for the temple, and you ain't even repairing the temple. You lying people. You swindlers and extortioners and robbers. You unjust gain liars. Right? That's how Yahushua is. So what did he say? That's how he look at y'all. You folly tearing down your household woman for money to go for a bribe and lie in court. You folly hypocrite. And then you want to name yourself Deborah. You want to name yourself, they would have named themselves Deborah. I'm going to name myself Rakal. What? I'm going to name myself Abigail. He said, you a hypocrite. He said, man, y'all ain't nothing like these people. Everybody want to put themselves as the elite. They want to name themselves the elite people of the Torah. You know how they say? But then all the behaviors of the elite people of the Torah, they don't do. That's the whole thing. Everybody want to be named. That's like people name themselves like sports figures and things. They say, I want to be like this. I want to be like that. I want to be like this person and that person. But then they don't manifest the actual athletic ability or the singing ability or the things that but they want to be like these people. That's the same thing with the Torah. People manifest these things, they want to be these people. They say, you sure you want to you want to be like him? You want to be like her? It says, you clean the outside of the cup of the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. He said, man, extreme greed. You blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, and the outside, that the outside also may be clean. That's why all this stuff that people do. Right? And that's all a part of it, right? That's all a part of it, right? So this is the book of, just going here and then almost finished, right? This is the book of, oh yeah. This is the book of Psalms. Psalms 147. Psalms 147. Actually, let's go Psalms. Let's go Talim 70. Psalms chapter 72 or 71. Psalm 71. Psalm 71. Psalm 71. Psalm 71 and 5. For you, O Yahuwah, are my hope, my trust, O Yahuwah, from my youth. Now you see why you got to trust from your youth. Because you do the sins of your youth, and then what happens? You got to trust Yahuwah. You know what happens? Upon you I have leaned from before my birth. said, before I was born into the world. He said, I leaned on Yahuwah before my birth in the world. Now you see, he said, well, until a child is born, until a bin is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. You are he who took me from my mother's womb. He said, you took me from my mother's womb, Marcus. And he says, my praise is continually of you. Because people used to praise their mothers on earth. But when Yahuwah takes you from your mother's womb, you know, from a missing the mother, then you start to praise him instead of the scribes and the Pharisees and the hypocrites. Then you start to praise Yahuwah. Because you took Yahushua from above his feet, the mother was all. That's what Yahushua was, the mother of everybody. It birthed all these people into this world, right? And when he came to the Torah. So then Yahuwah is like, hey, I'm taking you from your mother's womb, and then now your praise is continually to me and not to them. Because it used to be to them. Verse 7, I have been a portent to many, but you are my strong refuge. Who else are you going to trust in? My mouth is filled with your praise, and with your kabod all the day. Now you see why. This is your cold trouble. Well, how you going to get to that point where you get your inheritance back, you get praise and be in peace and shalom and quiet? This, he said, a careless mindset can't do that. My mouth is filled with your praise and with kabod all day. Do not cast me off in the time of old age. That's the only reason. Because as I'm getting older, everybody getting older. You know, people say, oh, I'm old. I'm like, Adam lived 930 years. Like, the only reason Adam and Kawul lived 930 years is they both died the same day. The reason why they lived 930 years, and it's really that hard. It's not that difficult. It's not that hard. Because they kept themselves in a certain state of mind, and they stayed away from certain things and people. And outside influences, they recognized and squashed them. That's how they stayed alive for 930 years. It's not that difficult. That's how you live. Because all the people, everybody on the outside, they're gonna try to bring that. They're gonna try to bring that strife. He say, oh, that's the stress. Because stress kills you. People say, why do you think you should say, cast all your cares upon me? Because you know, in the world, you're not supposed to carry no stress. Why would you put all? You making my children carry all that stress and weight? Why would you let you do that? You can't cast your cares upon Yahushua until you become yourself like a child. I'm gonna carry mine. He's like, nah. You can carry the whole universe. Let me put it on your back. Like they talk about people who hike to Mount Kilimanjaro and they carry all the luggage up the mountain while everybody walk next to them. They carry it. You just walking. He said, cast your cares upon me, and guess what? For he cares for you. Just like that. My mouth is filled with praise and with your kabod all the day. Do not cast me off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength is spent. Now you see why Shaul said, man, I can do all things Yahuwah that strengthens me. Yahuwah my strength and my rock. Whom shall I fear? Man? Why would you? Human strength? He like, no, Yahuwah gives me strength. But your strength gets spent. That's what happens when you run around, when you're doing strenuous things and you ain't got no more energy, and then you got to trust in Yahuwah to give you strength to get through it. Because that's the only way you're going to get it from. You ain't going to get it from, I'm always strong. Then what's the point? I'm always strong. I'm never in pain. I don't have to push myself. What's the point of asking Yahuwah, Yahuwah, give me some strength to get through this? I do it all the time. Because sometimes, people have no idea. In life, you're going to always have them times where you're going to have to literally ask Yahuwah for strength, because that's the only reason it happens. So you won't forget him in your old age. So you'll never be, and if you always keep this on your mind, he'll always be with you, always. Even when you die. For my enemies speak concerning me, those who watch for my life consult together. Man, he said they talking about it. They consulting together. They consultants. They consulting together. Everybody talking together. They all talking about you. And say, Elohim has forsaken him or her. That's what they say. Man, look at that. I ain't helping you. You burned all your bridges, right? And he said, I ain't helping you. Where your helper at now? You know how they say? And Elohim has forsaken him. Pursue and seize him. That's when they coming. It ain't got nothing. When you in the time when you ain't got, when you at the point where you about to, everything about to be gone, and you at your weakest point, that's when they coming. And that's when you gotta pray to Yahuwah and ask you for strength. That's when they coming. They ain't coming when everything good. They coming when everything down. They coming to try to destroy you. And that's when you need to be Yahuwah. Give me strength. For there is none to deliver him. And that's what they be like. Ain't nobody going to help you. They be like, nobody going to deliver you. That's when you need Yahuwah. That's when you need him in your strength level. You get your power level up. When you get your power level up, right? You need to charge your battery. Like you on your last leg, you need a sensu bean. You know how they had in Dragon Ball Z? You need a sensu bean. But you need to ask Yahuwah for some strength. I ain't talking about no bean. I'm talking about his debar. I'm talking about Amuna. Right? You say, Yahuwah, surround me with fire like you did before. Surround me with fire. And energize me. Right? Surround me with your debar, your fire, and energize me. Surround me like the mountains that surround Yerushalayim. That they can't penetrate it anymore. O Elohim, be not far from me, O my Elohim. Make haste to help me. Because they ain't going to help you. Please don't be thinking people going to help you. I know how people thinking like, don't. May my accusers be put to shame and consumed. With scorn and disgrace, may they be covered who seek my hurt. You know why? Because these are cold trouble. It's like Book of Lamentations. Man, my enemies surround me right now. He's like, man, look at here. I'm weeping and sackcloth and ashes, and they mocking me. He said, they rejoicing at my calamity and the things that's befallen me. They seeking my hurt. They seeking to destroy me. But I will hope continually and will praise you yet more and more. He said, that's what we're going to do. More and more. My mouth will tell of your righteous acts and your deeds of salvation all the day. Now you see why Yahushua was judging from the morning to evening. He was judging them. He was teaching them in the temple, and then they were bringing hard sayings and trying to judge. He was doing it all day. For their number is past my knowledge. He's like, man, I don't even know how many people it is now. Man, they done got, he's like, man, I don't even know. How many people you think it is now? 100,000. Everybody know. They all know about it. Everybody want to see you die. See something happen to you. Man, it's beyond my number. I don't even know. It's outside my comprehension. So with the mighty deeds of Yahuwah, Elohim, I will come. And I will remind them. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to remind them of your righteousness, yours alone. Not these people that worship. That they making other children and little ones forget about the light that are of Yahuwah Elohim. You know, your righteousness alone. O Elohim, from my youth, you have taught me. And I will proclaim your wondrous deeds. Verse 18. So even to the old age and gray hairs. Guess what? O Elohim, do not forsake me. Until I proclaim your might to another generation. Your power to all those to come. Guess what? This is the last thing. Your righteousness, O Elohim, reaches to the high heavens, to the highest Shamayim, right? And that's how it works. Right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8 and verse 3. And he humbled you and let you hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but man, Adam, lives by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. That's why the Pharisees and the scribes didn't know what Yahushua was talking about. That's why they didn't even know he was fulfilling all the Torah. He was fulfilling what Yethro said. He was fulfilling what Yeshayahu said. He was fulfilling what Amos said. He was fulfilling. They didn't know this. That's why he humbled you. Right? That word for humble is anah. That word for humble is anah. Is anah. And it starts with an iron. Because you guys see it. And you know what it says? It means oppressed, humble, to be put down, to be humble, to be weakened. Right? Because he said, my strength made perfect in weakness. When Yahuwah, my strength, strengthen me. For my enemies are beyond number. I don't even know how many they are. It says mishandle, afflict, to be humiliated, to depress, right? That's what happens. But he said, yeah, I suffer you, I humble you, I annoy you, right? But it says, Marshally Proverbs 29:23, one's pride will bring him low, but he who is lowly in Ruach will obtain honor. The word for lowly is shafal. It means humble in Ruach, humiliated, low. He said, you're going to obtain honor. Because it's real heavy. You ever have put some heavy weight on your back? And you go down with it. That stuff will humble you and be like, man. That stuff will humble you. It will humble you. He said, be humble, or he said, stay humble or be humble. This Psalms 37, 7 through 11. Be still before Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourselves over the one who prospers in the way. Over the man or woman who carries out evil devices. Because when the people carry out evil devices, it's only to do you hurt. Refrain from anger. Because fear is anger, and you're going to be able to properly judge nobody. And forsake wrath, because you ain't going to be able to judge properly. He without sin cast first stone among you. And who can say that? Fret, corrupt not yourself, it tends only to evil. That's the only reason. It's going to make you raw, evil. Now, why you think about Yahushua was forgiving transgressions, iniquities, showing mercy and compassion? Why do you think he was doing that? He did it continually. He's just like, man, you know what? Refrain from anger. It's gonna make you evil. It's gonna make you look evil, because we gotta abstain from all appearance of evil. Because as he is, so are we in the world. Verse 9, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait for Yahuwah shall inherit the earth. So you're going to inherit the earth. In a little while, the wicked will be no more. Though you look carefully at his place, he will not be there, but the meek shall inherit the earth and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. Right? The word for be still is daman. It means to be silent, to be still, to wait, to be dumb, to make quiet. You know we read in Yeshayahu? With the careless daughters. He said, I'm to be quiet. He said, Jerusalem gonna be quiet again. When the women start becoming careless, when they put away their carelessness. He said, man, everything will be quiet. The animals gonna roam free. Everything gonna be back. Not only that, when people start judging properly and let Yahushua do the judging, he said, me and you leave people alone with Yahushua. Like, people just need it. After you get your judgment, everybody just say, leave people alone with Yahushua. Mashiach. Leave people alone with these. Everybody got to inquire themselves, because everybody got an advocate. We got a person that's fighting in favor of in between Shamayim and earth for you. Like, ain't got nothing to do with it. Right? People say, you used to leave people alone. Right? This is the book of the meek. The word for meek is Einu. Einu. And it starts with a what? An ayin. You got to see it. But the meek shall inherit the eretz and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. The meek, Einu, it means poor, humble, afflicted, meek, poor, and needy. Humble, meek. The Einu going to inherit the earth and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. Peace, quiet, and tranquility. Go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. Completeness and soundness, relationship, peace, shalom, happy, friendly. Go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. Because that's who Yahushua is. That's who he is. This is Proverbs 16, 19 through 20. It is better to be of a shafar ruach, a lowly ruach, with the Einu than to divide the spoil with the proud, the bribe takers, like Judas, like the scribes and the Pharisees. They couldn't leave that money alone. They need that cash, right? They're not gonna give that money up, because that money is what makes them look a certain way in the world. But we know that's only temporary. Because Yahushua came to set everybody free. The truth shall make you free. Free from sin and free from your past life. And you can put it all down. Whosoever gives thought to the bar will discover good. You discover a lot of good. A lot of good things to do, good deeds, good people you'll meet. It's just really that simple. And Barak is the one who trusts in Yahuwah. Trust in you. Because if you start trusting in so many things in this world, they're gonna trap you. And you're not gonna be free. This is Proverbs chapter 22 and 4. The reward of the humility and the fear of Yahuwah, better is a dinner of herbs where love is than the fat of ox where hatred. Better is a dry morsel in quiet than an ox with strife. The reward of humility and the fear of Yahuwah is riches, honor, and life. And word for humility is anu. And guess what? It starts with an ayin. It means humility, meekness, clemency, condescension, humility, meekness. Condescension means superiority, right? An attitude of superiority, right? Because when you start to do this, it's gonna patronize, it's gonna disdain people who are not. People who are superior, they're gonna feel a certain way. He's like, man, probably humble, meek, and lowly. Why do you think they came at Yahushua? Why do you think they were coming at his disciples? Why do you think they were coming at even the blind man he healed? You gonna come here and teach us? Who you think you is? They don't even like. Why? Like, you still believe on me? Clemency is mercy and leniency. That's why he said judgment, mercy, justice, mercy, and faithfulness you should have done. Because Yahushua was showing people how to judge properly. Not saying fines and things will not be administered, but the penalty of death will not have been administered while Yahushua was on the scene. Because he came to destroy death. He came to destroy sin. Because sin brought death. He came to destroy that sin, the transgression of the law, transgression of the Torah, the behaviors of the law that people haven't died to. He came to destroy sin. So while he was not coming to give no penalty of death to nobody, he was coming to make men alive by the Torah. But you know, today, that's what he came to do. Right? This book of Matthew 6, 22 to 23. The eye is the lamp of the body, right? The iron. We just talked about iron, Anua, Ana. The iron. That's the what? You look at the iron. Right? You got Kaf Lamad Mim Nun Sumak Ayin Pa Sa. You got the iron, and amazingly, the iron is what? 70. And what today is? Equals to 7. This is the 7th day. And iron equals to 70. And amazingly, what number is that? Iron means what? See, watch, and experience. Visualize. The eye is the lamp of the body. You know, if you knew Anua, all start with the iron. It's all humility, meekness, temperance, humility, affliction. All these are a part of humility. Anua, humility. If you have a humility type iron in life, the eye is the lamp of the body. And if your eye is healthy, you have a healthy eye. You have a healthy eye. You have a healthy eye to judge. Go and sin no more. And something worse gonna happen to you if you do sin again. And then guess what? If you repent, I'll forgive you. You got a healthy eye. You got a real good eye for people's lives and how they live and how people think, and you got a healthy eye when it comes to judging people, and it ain't according to the flesh. He said, if your eye be healthy, then your whole body will be full of light. Why do you think Yahushua said, I'm the light of the world when he was here? I'm the light of the world. But if your eye be bad, it said bad here, your whole body be full of darkness. We just talked about them describing the people in the Nag Hammadi scriptures, how you gonna cast them into outer darkness. He said, you made these people forget about the light there is. The Yahushua Mashiach and Yahuwah, his father, because Yahuwah is light and in him is no darkness at all. And you literally made these people forget about me. Then if that light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? That word for bad is paneros. It means hurtful. You hurt people. Evil. If your eye be evil, your whole body is full of darkness. Your iron, your sight. Man, you got some evil sight, man. Y'all want to stone people? Well, your iron is off. Y'all full of darkness. And you ready to kill people, ain't you? I know. Your eye full of darkness. You ready to murder people, huh? You don't like doing right justice and righteousness. Oh, you know what? Y'all lack of knowledge. It's called lack of knowledge. You ain't gonna be no come harm me. I'm gonna forget your children. They not. You don't know the debar. You don't know you don't know the debar, and then you gonna try to put your children up. They don't know the debar. You don't even know your olive is. So how in the world you gonna teach me? That's why Yahushua is. How you gonna tell me something? He without sin cast the first stone. He without kata cast the first stone. He without sin. Among you. Sirach 3:17 through 23. My son, go on thy business in meekness. Amen. Now you see why he said it. So shall thou be beloved of him that is approved. There's only one that's approved. Because you're supposed to be helping him. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. The greatest among you should be a servant. And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. And he knew. That's why they were high places of renown. They were of renown too. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. And you know what people say? Yahushua was not doing that. I said, let me show you. He said Yahushua was doing a whole bunch of stuff people don't know about. Right? So this is the book of Matthew chapter 23, verse 1. Then Yahushua said to the crowds and to his disciples, right? So he said a whole bunch of people. The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, Mashah seat. That's what they said. But what Yahushua was doing? So do and observe what they tell you, but do not do what they do. What do you mean what they do? The stuff they do. They plot and scheme. They lie. They swindle. They take bribes. They teach for a price and never for money. They arrogant and prideful. They have no humility. They want to stone people when they got sin. They full of demons and shadim. They vipers and snakes. Don't do what they do though. Don't do what they do. They adulterers and fornicators. They steal other men's wives. They sleep around. He said, don't do what they do though. They put their yashar away and it's not for adultery. Don't do what they do. They send spies, they plot, they scheme, they test you. They try to catch you in something you say. They do so many other evil things. That's why he said don't do what they do. That's why. He said don't do what they do. For they preach, I say, they proclaim the law of Moses. The laws that people are not supposed to do, but do not practice, not doing what the law tells them not to do. That's literally what they, you know how people say they don't practice. No, they don't. They do the things that the law tells them not to do. That's all it is. So they have the laws and they have the Torah and they be convicted. They be out there judging people, but then they do the very same things they judging people for. So then he says, therefore the law, they say the law, but they do the same things that the law tells them not to do. So don't do what they do. Because they proclaim your judgment and tell you things, but then don't do what they do. Because they murder people. They murder me. They murdered me in their heart already. They bear false witness against. They do everything the law told them not to do. He said, man, they do everything that they said not to do now. They worship idols. They other gods. They worship Caesar. They got all types of other gods. That's why he was telling them that. And it says they tie heavy burdens harder to bear. Now you see why Jethro said to Yahushua. He said, man, this is real heavy you got to bear. You got to bear this heavy, man. You got to get some able men who hate bribes, right? Why do you think he got 12 Shalakim, but he had that one Judas who loved the bribes? He loved the bribes. And that's why his father was a Levite. He was a Louis. And he said, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move them with their finger. Now you see why he was a man acquainted with grief, a man of sorrow. He carried our burdens. These things, these burdens, these people who thought they sit in Moses' seat, he was carrying the burdens of their wickedness and they heavy burden they were putting on other people. He's like, man, y'all putting these heavy judgments on these people, and these people can't carry this stuff. You're not even going to help them lift a finger. Now you see why he released the woman from adultery. She helped her and released her burden off her back. He said, go and sin no more. Lest the worst thing happen to you. Let something even more heavier kin on you. But I'll lift that up too. But I'm going to let you Even though judgment gonna come to you, I'm gonna still lift that off for you too. Because you gotta remember we talked about, you gotta remember that men are only flesh. Like we can't lift all this stuff. People be like, oh, I can lift all. I said, okay. You can carry, you can try. Yahushua was struggling. If you had that cross, he would carry that thing up to all the way to Golgotha, the place of skulls. Man, he had that thing, he was carrying all our sin and our burden. And people say, I want to carry all your sin. You see how early he died? That's the only reason that Adam and Kawua lived 930 years. They had no, they say they ain't carrying all these burdens and things. That's how you live long. That's how you live long. People say, no, that's how you live long. That's why Adam and Kawua lived 930 years. All they knew about lived 960 because they weren't carrying all that stuff. When you cast your cares upon Yahuwah and his son, then guess what? You ain't got no, why are you carrying? But then everybody got to carry their own load when you start sinning. When you start to sin, and you start adding weights to your life, why do you think he told us to cast away? He says, let us cast away the weights and the sin that so easily can weigh us down. Because you ain't supposed to have no burdens and no weights on you. Because it'll easily weigh you down. That's why you throw them away. Get rid of sin. And you'll have no more burdens on you. They do all their deeds to be seen by others. For they make themselves phylacteries and broad. See, this is the extra stuff they do. And their fringe is long. And they love the place of honor at the feast and the best seats. You know how you get to the movie theater real fast? They say, man, I want to get that seat. And greetings in the marketplace and being called teacher by others. They say they love that stuff. You should be watching everybody. People, look at these. 2025 AD. You should be looking at these people like, man, look at these guys. But you are not to be called teacher, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And right, that's all a part of it. So that's all a part of it. Right, so this is going to verse 20, Sirach 3 and 20. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. Seek not out things too hard for thee, no search for things that are above thy strength. Now you see why? You know you can't carry all that stuff, the burdens and all that. He said, don't even seek it out. It's above your strength level. It's above your power level. He said, why would I carry that? He's just like a person who commits fornication and adultery, and then they do it again and again and again and again. Like, he said, can you afford to carry another one? Man, you're going to have a crook back. You know, you got a hunchback. You know, like the hunchback they talk about on entering the congregation. You got a hunchback. You can't carry all that stuff. That's too many. I mean, I done lied about 50,000 times. He like, liar, liar. He's like, man, that's like, you know how much, that's like a hunchback. You might walk in there like that big old hunchback on your back. Like a dude from 300. You're going to try to lift up your shield. You know how you lift up your shield? You ain't going to be able to lift it up. Like, you ain't going to be able to block the darts of Satan. You ain't going to be able to even fight. You know what you're going to do? What did the dude in the 300 do? He went and sold his soul to the Persian, to that other dude, and set them all up. That's who you're going to be. You're going to be just like Judas, because he wanted some pleasure for some women. That's what he did. That's why he said, put on beloved and compassionate hearts, kindness, gentleness, meekness. If anybody has a complaint, forgiving each other as Yahuwah has forgiven you, you also must forgive. And above all, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony, in a perfect multitude. That's what he says before. Where two or three are gathered in my name, they're in my midst. Whatever you bind on Shamayim shall be bound on the earth. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosened at Shamayim will be loose on earth. That's why it's important to understand your power. Because the power, when you don't understand it, then you end up destroying things that you shouldn't destroy. But what, verse 22, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. You know what happens when you see things in secret? We ready to condemn, we ready to destroy, we ready to cast away, we ready to stone somebody. We found out about your secrets. You know what happens after that? People forget all about what Yahushua did. We forget about mercy, compassion. We forget about, man, we're only flesh. You forget about your opportunity, and you forget about that you were once purged from your sins. You nearsighted. You forget about yourself. You forget about you. Verse 23, be not curious in unnecessary matters. See, that's why you don't make me nosy. Busybody in other men's affairs, men and women affairs. He say, don't be busybody. You're gonna get all that in your consciousness, and you're gonna be like, man, why? You're gonna be miserable. Because you're gonna have other people's stuff in your head. It's unnecessary. Ain't got nothing to do. It says, for more things are shown unto thee than men understand. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what to do. Go and sin no more. But to keep that in your mind. Because you know why? Or you're going to have a lot of burdens on you. You got a lot of burdens. And you're not meant to carry it. You're not meant to carry any of this stuff. Right, so this is the book of, this is the last thing and I'm done. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 1. When one of you has a grievance against another, does he dare go to the law before the unrighteous? And you gonna go before the unrighteous instead of the Kodashim? So who do you think he was calling the unrighteous in this case? You think he was talking about the people that killed him? That slayed him? You go to them, you might end up going to the spirit world. They ain't gonna say go and sin no more. They ain't not gonna show you no mercy and no compassion. People gonna stone you. Instead of the Kodashim, or do you not know that the Kodashim will judge the world? What do you think Yahushua was? And the 12 Shalakim. And if the world will be judged by you, are you incompetent to trivial cases? He said, man, y'all trivial. This is trivial stuff. Do you not know that we are to judge Malakim? Angels? Beware of entertaining strangers. Some have entertained Malachi unawares, right? But they're not even knowing you're going to be judging Malachi, other Malachi. How much more then matters pertain to this life? We're not even talking about the next life. We're talking about this life. So you see how powerful you will be in the next life if you follow Yahushua. This life, he's like, man, this is nothing. But the next life, you can judge Malachi. So if you have such cases, why do you lay them before those who have no standing in the body? He's like, man, he said, they have nothing, right? And he says, I say this to your shame. Can it be that there is no one among you wise enough to settle a dispute between brothers? Why do you think everybody was disputing about what they should do? And if you like Yahushua and you mercy him and put him on, you'd be like, he without sin among you. I say this to your shame. Can it be that there is no one wise among you to settle a dispute between brothers and sisters? But brothers and sisters go to the law against brother, and that before unbelievers. What are you unbelievers? Unbelievers are people who don't believe in Yahushua Mashiach. That's what we trying to. The Yasharal and Yehuda, everybody was not believing in no Yahushua Mashiach. They were not walking in no wise judgment and counsel and might and all that stuff that he was walking in. That people are immersed in Yahushua was commanded. They weren't doing that. Verse 7 says, to have lawsuits at all with one another is already a defeat for you. Because you can't even say, go and sin no more. I will bear the burden of that. Because you have not graduated and put Yahushua on. You ain't graduated. Why not rather suffer wrong? That's what he did. Because you haven't graduated. Why not rather be defrauded? Because that's what Yahushua did. But you yourselves wrong and defraud even your own brothers and sisters. He said, man, that's not even, he said, what y'all do? He said, you might as well just suffer the loss. Or do you not know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim? He said, do not be deceived. Now you see why people are deceived today. Neither sexual and immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, men with men, women with women, nor thieves, nor greedy, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers, will not inherit the kingdom of Elohim. So you know why? Because they're going to still be doing it when they die. Everybody has the opportunity before they leave this earth to put these things down. And they have the opportunity, if they put them down before the next life and the ending of their life, to inherit the kingdom of Elohim, if they put these things away. But if they don't, then they're going to have to face Yahuwah and face the review board. And that review board is going to base it upon the things that they did in this life. It's not your judgment. That's going to be their judgment. So what one needs to do is make sure that you don't have them when you leave. Everybody's going to appear before the judgment seat of Yahuwah to give an account for the things done in your body, whether it was good, whether it was a good eye, a nice and healthy eye, or whether it was an evil eye full of darkness. Because the light of the body is the eye. If the eye be or, that whole body is illuminated. If the eye be evil, then the whole body is full of darkness. So your eyes are important. Your eye. You need to know Abri in order to understand that. When Shaul spoke in the Abri tongue, they kept it more solid. Verse 10, for thieves, nor greedy, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers. You know what the drunkards do? They looking at you, eyes full of adultery. Right? They doing all the sins, right? Swindlers, man. There's so many swindlers. They might make a villain. They might just make a villain. You know, like in the superhero movie, call it the swindler. They call one the Riddler. They need to make the swindler, right? That'll be an interesting character, right? Will inherit. He says, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of Elohim. You say, ain't no way you're gonna do it. You ain't gonna be able to enter in. And such were some of you. See, because they had the opportunity to put it all away. So which means they had homosexuality, people who did that. They had swindlers, they had some adulterers in there, which means they had to go and sin no more. They got forgiven. So why can't, so you start to see behaviors that people won't forget today. That you see them who had the opportunity to put it away, they literally put it away. But you were washed. And you were set apart. You were justified in the name of the Master Yahushua Mashiach, and by the Ruach of our Elohim. And that's how they inherited the eternal life. And that's the truth. So we look at all that. Look at everything that Yahushua has done. Look at the true judge and the true righteous judge, who judge people and judge us in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, ready to forgive sins, transgressions, iniquities with much compassion and faithfulness and everlasting love. The one who extends his hand with his right hand and opens his arms wide for his children to return, his family from the beginning of the earth, from when Adam was formed, even the descendants all the way through, and those who were disobedient before the flood. He come to rescue his people, his family back, to bring everything back to how it was in the beginning when he was the only Elohim. Knowing that the making of idols and the things in the creating the world brought many things into the world, and disorders, and many evil things, and it's the end of all evil. But knowing that these things will not leave. So the spirits and the Ruachs and the demons and the Shadim that were here during it are still alive. The Amzuns and the Anakims and the Raphaims and all the beings and disciples of Majaza, Azazel, Asbal, Almaros, and Penuel are still here. And all the things that men have now prescribed as sin, like they say everything's being rectified and saying what is sin and what is not, the clean and the unclean, the just and the unjust, the righteous and the unrighteous, the evil and the good. Right? All that is in the hands of Yahuwah, regardless of how any man, woman, or child may think. Even as both male and female, we must walk in righteousness and purity of mind, not to give ourselves over to our flesh and to judge according to the flesh. Because we judge according to the flesh, we'll be judging according to the works of the flesh and not the works of the ruach. If you judge according to the works of the flesh, there'll be many other things that you're going to be willing to do. Just like Galatia was actually warned about. But the fruits of the ruach is kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Right? We know about all these things are a part of our judgment cycles on how we judge people in this life. Because the next life, you can't judge. You're not going to be judging according to the flesh. You're going to judge according to the ruach. Human beings judge according to the flesh. They judge it in strife. They judge in adultery. They judge in robberies. They judge people when they're fornicating. They judge when they're swindling people. They judge when they're extortioning people. They judge when they're angry. They judge when they're wrath. They judge when they're joking. Right? They're judging people when they have the works of the flesh. You can't judge that way, because that's the whole point. They judge when they're a sorcerer. They judge when they seek after other gods, idols. They judge while they have these things in their life. And then therefore the judgment is not just. Right? And that's the whole point. So how can you judge properly when you have those fleshly behaviors and carnal behaviors within oneself? So that's why we died to the law, that we may be married to another. You can't, the only way you be married to another, you gotta die to yourself. And who you used to be. And how you used to be. And these are the works of the flesh. And these things will not allow you to inherit the kingdom of Elohim. We show compassion to all. That's true, Yahshua. For the Shalosh Matab, 12 tribes of Yahshua, according to the book of Hazan, 144,000. According to the 12 tribes of Yahshua, those who are awakened, 12,000 in each tribe. He gives life and understanding to one, that one may walk in a new, a now, and a new, and to show the forth the light of Yahushua Mashiach in the earth, and not your fleshly carnal ways. For we look at ourselves, for henceforth we know no one according to the flesh. For we knew Yahushua according to the flesh, but now we don't know him like that no more. We know him according to the Ruach. And that Ruach is going to be judging people according to the works and the fruits of the Ruach. And if you don't see those things, you will not be in his kingdom. Because he don't want that. You see how the world is today. Why would you want that in your house? There ain't gonna be no peace and shalom and quietness with that stuff. That stuff is terrible, right? And you start looking at this naturally. So how do you think he feels in the Ruach? Right? So we look at yourself, we look at our inward being, we look at our inward thoughts. Well, it's a fight to the end. It's a fight through yourself and your flesh, and you gotta forgive everybody. Even if they don't want to accept, because then they have to stop doing their evil things in your life. Because once you forgive them, then you got to stop doing their evil to you. That's why they don't want you to forgive. That's why they keep keeping it going, because they don't want you to forgive, and then they got to stop their evil stuff, and then they ain't got no more playtime anymore. They can't crack no jokes. They can't do no more stuff. That's why they won't reconcile. They can't do their stuff, but they worship it. It's like it's a craving. It's just like any other craving, a sugar craving, right? Or any other craving. Same thing. So we look at ourselves, we look at our inward being. So we go on our way with meekness and our business in meekness. We may be approved. He said, be approved of him who won't judge us. For we look at ourselves, we look at our inward self. We look at the light and the true light of Yahushua Mashiach, who shall reign inside of us, even as it was in the beginning when the Ruach, Marakaf al-Panim, upon the face of the waters, and Elohim said, let there be light. So we believe that he's the light thereof, and he's a light, the Or, for Yahuwah is light, and in him is no darkness at all. and on it that light that shines within, and you believe on it, and not to be cast in outer darkness. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Enu, the Enah, Enua, those who are lowly will inherit the earth.